Right, so we have got 4 episodes of Courage to talk about now. We have now seen Friday's episode. If you listen to the beginning of the podcast, you'll hear that we were a little bit early in our previous recording bit. But now, 9:30, let's get going. What do we think of this week?
Yes.
Yes, here's our thoughts on this week. Thought it was an alright week. I'm going to say fairly bog standard across the board this week. Not great, not terrible.
Why are you doing this now?
I enjoyed the Valentine's
You don't normally.
episode.
I don't get it.
Just setting out my stance so people know what they're going to be getting for the next couple of hours.
Okay.
I'm not going to be like effervescent over very much of it, but equally I'm not having a massive rant fest as well. Now we're going to start off with the Splat the Rat story, which, you know, as the story as we go on, it probably feels like less of a sensitive storyline title, but I'm going to roll with it. We also had a bit of the Sizer South story. A lot of the storyline titles I kind of set in stone at the beginning of the week, and it really didn't end that way. That's going to end up with also the Nick and Leanne proposal, wedding in Mauritius.
What's that called then?
I ain't getting anything to it. That is all just part of the Sizer South story, you see.
Right.
This one was also set at the beginning of the week when everyone was really down on Bobby for being Rob's son, so I'm calling it Bobby Rob's son. He's a footballer.
Bobby Robson.
Yeah, footballer and ex-football manager. Bobby Robson. Just don't know why I didn't think of that one earlier.
Always complaining about football, and now you do this.
Oh, I know. Pull the plug. We had a little bit more of this week. Slight bit of undercover journalist. We had some Oh Baby. And finally today we had a return to the brief love affair.
Too much kissing.
There was lots of It is Valentine's week, Gemma. We've got to let them. We've got to just increase their kissing allowance.
No, I don't like it. I don't like it.
God,
I really don't. There's something wrong with me. Every time somebody kisses on the skin, I'm like,
You're so childish.
I am. Just go. Little peck on the cheek. Mwah,
we don't have the normal reactions to things. We were talking earlier about the Liam story.
No.
Yeah. What? I'm set. It's not getting me in the same way that it's getting everyone else. I'm not gonna say it's terrible. I can see that Charlie Wenshaw is doing a really good job.
Really good.
He's fab.
Everyone is in that storyline, I think.
But I'm watching it and I'm not feeling the feels that I'm supposed to be feeling.
Everyone else is feeling them for you, I think.
Is there anybody else out there than me? I know I've been fairly stone-hearted in the past. But look, I'm allowed to say this. I'm finding it fine, that story, but I'm really glad that it's impressing other people, especially when, you know, Corrie's not had its great fan. It's not having tons of praise thrown at it at the moment. I'm glad that people are fans saying that they're enjoying, but not doing it for me. Do you want to? I'm going to pass over to you to do a bit of synopsising for that there, Gemma.
Yes,
I've still got some things to say.
Liam is excluded still, but he's going back to school tomorrow for some reason. Don't ask questions about any of this.
I got a bit confused because I didn't realise that it wasn't half term in Manchester this week as well.
But it kind of was by the end of the week, because we don't know what week we're in now.
I'm very confused. I think today must be next Monday's episode.
Yeah, that's what I think.
But yeah,
so Friday.
My half term was this week, and Manchester is. I don't get why Liam was excluded for that long. I know that that's the length of a filming block, and it's about time that it's come around again. Exactly. He had a bit of a pushy shovey sesh with Dylan a few weeks ago, didn't he? Which I'm not convinced would have actually got him excluded at all. But to have 3 weeks of school, possibly a little bit of an overreaction, and not one that Maria's even thrown at Orla's face today when she was tearing a strip of her, but oh well.
Yeah, bullying in school is one of those things where you only ever hear about it when the schools don't handle it correctly. So you'll hear loads and loads of stories that are very similar to this, where, you know, Liam's being punished, but Mason and Dylan haven't had anything happen to them at all. And somehow the school seems to be completely useless and not doing anything whatsoever about it. And all their policies seem to work in favour of the person who's doing it to them. They can't do anything about things that don't happen in school, etc., etc. But the reason you don't hear about the times when they actually managed to do something is because nobody's going to go online and complain about that, are they? Nobody's going to talk about the time. They're not going to
go online and say, just want to put a post out there to say how great my school dealt with my son's bullying issues.
Did a really good job.
Yeah.
Nobody does that.
I kind of felt bad for Mrs Crawshaw at one point, because, you know, you are tied by the policy, but equally on the other hand, it's difficult for us as a viewer, isn't it, because we've seen what's obviously going on, and
this has
she
all been
hasn't
written to facilitate the story, so they can't have Mrs Crawshaw come in and go, don't worry everybody, I'll sort this out. Because they've got a story to tell about the rest of the things that happen. And if the school just solved all the problems straight away, then there wouldn't be a storyline.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I was quite surprised in today's episode that she's not the only member of staff at school. So she's obviously hired a deputy.
She's not the head teacher. She's hired
a deputy.
An assistant to the deputy.
who checks the laptop search history of all...
I would not sign up to look at the search history of teenage boys.
It's right, there were probably a DSL, which is a designated safety lead for those not in the know.
Is there not some kind of safety feature on the laptop that stops you from Googling how to kill yourself?
I don't know whether that's kind of network only rather than at a hardware level. Not sure.
I don't know what you're talking about, but usually Google says, "Oh, you're right."
Does it?
Like that. You're right.
Maybe now we have the AI integration into our computers, we would get little Clippy appearing at the bottom of the screen.
I see.
I see you're trying to.
No, Kitty, no, please don't do that.
So she's got a helper, which is lovely. But I do wonder in all this, what is the head teacher doing?
What's the head doing? Does he have any actual teachers that teach him lessons? Has he got a form head or tutor or whatever they call them now? Class lead.
I wish that they'd bring it up because for the vast majority of viewers, it doesn't matter as far as they're concerned. Mrs Crawshaw is the head teacher, but the thing is, she's not.
She's not.
She's not. She's the deputy head. I can't remember what the head teacher's called.
Mr. something.
Mr. something or other.
Mr. Useless.
And he has had nothing. Even if they just made a throwaway line about him being on sabbatical or something.
It reminds me of the principal in Family Guy.
Oh.
Doesn't he look a bit bland like that?
I couldn't possibly. It's been quite a few years since he's been in it. But I would have thought that he might be stepping in at this point. But what do I know? I'm a primary school teacher, not a secondary school teacher.
It's a bit more serious in secondary.
He's got his hands tied with much more serious things, I assume. I don't know, whatever, league tables and what have you. Anyway,
and trying to figure out which score in GCSE is the best one.
Maybe where is the best place in school to point your CCTV cameras so that it catches the bullies out should be next on his agenda.
Maybe they should all go in his office.
Behind the science block.
That's what they should put Liam in time out.
What?
Because nothing happens in his office.
Yeah, that's the safest place. It's the drama-free zone of Coronation.
Right, so Liam's still excluded, but he's going to school tomorrow, and Maria and Gary notice he doesn't want to. Oh no, his phone's out of battery, but he doesn't care.
Yes, he's showing a surprising lack of interest in his mobile phone, considering that most teenagers are surgically attached to them at this point. Yeah.
There's a lot of talk online at the moment after that poor kid was murdered. Which was actually, I think, it was Manchester Crown Court that they did the case, didn't they? And they're talking about just banning kids from having phones or making special phones for...
Yes, I saw something about that, about wanting to have a phone for kids that doesn't do anything, all the cool stuff, basically.
Honestly, I know this is really bad for me to say, but if I had a kid, that's what they would have. They'd just have a crap Nokia.
It's really.
But what would you do? Then your kid becomes the weirdo, and then they get picked on anyway.
That's why I don't think that could work unless it's something everyone has to buy into.
But isn't that a bit draconian?
Yeah,
that's the thing. I know
there's
they're
no
children.
way this would work. It'd be mega street cred.
You'd have to make it illegal to give your child an iPhone.
Yeah. Which they're clearly not going to do.
Well, no, exactly.
I don't know what the solution to this is.
No,
and it just makes me thankful yet again that we didn't have this when we were at school. Got my first mobile, I think it was, I can't remember.
I was 18, I got it on my 18th birthday.
Yeah, I can't remember whether I was 18 or I was 16. I was possibly 18. Yeah, I just made do with my iPod Touch up until then.
I didn't have an iPod. I had one of those.
No, I didn't have a
Sony
Touch. I had a Mini, an iPad Mini
disc
at first.
player.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I could.
Then I had an MP3 player that you could put 10 songs on.
But I feel bad for parents at the moment. I mean,
what the hell
we don't have to worry about Abby going on her social media and getting bullied.
She was actually bullying someone else today.
Yeah, I think our cat is a bully. We were in the lounge and we heard this raucous cat fight just outside, and Abby had somebody backed into a corner.
She ripped their collar off and
we
tried to bite them.
Poor other cat's collar just there on the.
And also, I don't know if you noticed this, but that cat didn't have a tail.
Didn't it?
I don't know whether she's taking it.
She's all sweetness and light to her. She's just happily sitting on my lap
we're
now,
bigger.
purring
that
away.
goes to show you, if she was bigger than us.
She doesn't like other cats.
No, she doesn't. I don't think she knows she's a cat.
No, but
anyway.
But yeah, if
this is such a dilemma. I don't.
It's something that all parents, every single parent now, probably loses
Worries
quite a bit
about.
of sleep over. Do I get my kid a mobile phone? When do I do it? What do I give them access to?
It's also not just being bullied, because I remember, like, we didn't have phones, but we had the internet, and I definitely saw things I should not have seen when I was a kid. And
it's so much easier to access for anybody now.
Well, I don't know, like rotten.com, I don't think that that's as easy as it was back then to see such horrible pictures.
What's rotten.com?
Oh, just like dead people.
Oh, I don't know.
But that will screw you up. Like, porn, that's really bad. Kids have access to that. You're supposed to go to the woods and poke it.
In a bush.
Yeah, find it in a bush. Not just find it on your phone.
Yeah, you get these reports that come out now, don't you, about this shockingly high percentage of kids by the age of 13, 14 that have seen that
everything.
Kind of stuff. But yeah, so I would not like to be in Maria and
I don't know what you do.
What
do you do? And it's affected. It's obviously doing something, isn't it?
Mm.
It can't be good. I know we sound like prudes, and every generation is the same. Where they go, oh, in my day, children these days.
We managed fine without that kind of rubbish. Well, it's not even saying
that. I genuinely am worried about what it is doing to children's brains. I don't think it's good. I really don't. Well, what they need is Encarta. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Encarta 95.
95, that'll do. It certainly has had a attention span problem.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say nothing hugely significant that you definitely need to know happened after 95.
No, 95 is all you need.
It was fine. Yeah.
Back when the world was so much better.
Everything was much simpler, and all of the encyclopedia entries were just a couple of paragraphs and maybe a soundbite.
Anyway.
Right, so what is Maria and Gary...
After scene 2 of the week.
They are talking about Liam. Maybe they should leave it until after half term before he goes back to school. And then he comes to the lounge and switches his phone on, and all the messages start pouring in, and he's just staring at this, and Miriam's like, oh, is it? You've got to tell me if anything's wrong. And Gary's like, oh, all those scumbags would have moved on by now. But then Liam goes to his room, and all the messages are just pouring in again. I
was feeling it's a bit like rinse and repeat. Here we go again. Maria and Gary going la la la. Life is great in the lounge, while Liam was pouring his heart out and crying in his. Yeah, that's been at least the third time now we've had an episode end with that. But at least they pick up on it by the end of the week.
On Tuesday, Liam's not in the mood to go to school, and he gets confronted when he does go in the corridor by Liam and Dylan. And Dylan's just the most pathetic, snivelling little henchman, isn't he?
Yeah, he's useless.
He's not useless. He's just doing what Mason tells him.
Yeah,
he's scared of being a victim as well. But he's also a bit nasty.
He's nasty, and Mason's kind of
influencing him.
Yeah, no, but Mason's kind of making fun of him as well, isn't it? Like, because Liam Dylan, just to prove, they think at the end of this story, Mason's not still going to be a Coronation Street character, is he? He can be as bad as you like and now, Dylan, because he's not coming back after those bridges are burned. But Liam needs to claw his way back. Dylan needs to claw his way back into everybody's good books. It's a bit like Max that we've seen recently, and any Corrie teen that goes bad has to come back from it. So we've got to have plenty of looks of Dylan going, oh, should I really be doing this? Just so that we know that he's having second thoughts. But we don't have that with Mason, do we? No. Nothing of Mason going, oh, have I gone too far by stamping on his puppet?
Obviously, this story is going to end with Dylan standing up to Mason.
Yeah.
I wonder whether Mason...
get a pair of stilts on him and then it'll be fine.
I wonder whether Mason is ever going to be revealed to have had some horrible trauma in his past, or be kind of abusive home or something. Because that's normally why... there's teasing and there's kind of banter that goes too far, and then there's bullying, which is what this is.
Well, hasn't Gary said before that the Radcliffes are a bad lot? We've not met any of his family, and I don't know whether we will.
Are we ever going to get a sympathy for Mason? Like, if this was one of these gritty 90s English movies where everyone's dad has to strip because the mine's closed. There would be a scene where Mason goes home and then his dad like smacks him about a bit, and then you sort of realise that he's a victim too, and he's perpetrating this upon someone else.
I don't think we will.
I don't think it's going to get that deep.
I wouldn't mind it because he's a little bit two dimensional at the moment, isn't he?
But I don't know what story they're trying to tell here. I mean, I feel as though this is a story. This is obviously really touching people, and everyone who it's touching is finding it very, very compelling and emotional to watch. But it does feel like that anyone could have written this about any character. You know, there's nothing particularly about Liam. There's nothing particularly about Mason. It's just a goon and a victim.
Yeah.
So I would argue that soaps have more scope to explore a bit more in depth why someone's a bully, why someone gets bullied, without making excuses. But I do think, I've said this before loads of times, when someone's bad, when someone acts out like this or does something like this, there's usually a reason. And if you understand why, you don't have to sympathise or excuse it or say that, you know, it's okay to do. But if you understand why they're doing it, it's one step further to be able to solve the problem.
I can't remember what we had with what's his face, who was, you know, beat Seb up, Corey.
Yeah, nothing.
We had his dad, didn't we?
Yeah, but he was overindulgent, wasn't he? He was just like, oh, well, I'll throw money at everything, and my kid can do no wrong, and that's just as well. It's not just as bad, but it's clearly not great parenting.
Yeah. I would be interested to see more of Mason's home life, but I don't think it's going to go down that route, especially how serious it's all got, and Liam's obviously Googling that stuff this week, and I don't think that trying to get sympathy for the person that's
I'm not saying
convincing
sympathy.
Liam to search for those things is the way to go.
Understanding. The thing is, loads of bullies are also victims of bullying themselves.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's where this is going.
No, I don't think so. I think he's going to.
This is just a kind of
end, isn't it?
a very, I don't want to say surface level, because that makes it sound like it's not a complicated story. But there could be more to say. But I just don't think Corey wants to do that. They just want what they're doing.
It's very much a kind of, hey everybody, people can get bullied in person, you can get bullied over your phone. If you're getting bullied, then it can be at you 24/7. It's not like how it used to be when home was a safe place. And I'm not getting a whole lot more of it than that. It's very much bullying story by numbers, in my opinion. I think that the Dylan and Sean angle, it's somewhat unexplored, isn't it? Every now and then. I'm waiting for more depth
to some of this other stuff.
And George, he's been kind of dipping his toe into the story this week, but
there's a lot of focus on Liam and Maria and Gary, which is interesting. And it's enough. I'm not trying to say I'm not saying it's bad by any means. I'm just saying that there's lots of avenues, and it's interesting to think about what it is that they're trying to do and why they've told it the way they're telling it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It's also like the thing
that's kind of annoying me about this is that Dylan's the one that we know, and Liam and Dylan are the two that we know, and Mason's the outside influence that's come in. He's like, oh, he's the bad guy, he's making Dylan do naughty things, and then Dylan will realise that he's been under his thrall, and then he'll stand up to him, and it'll be like a Disney movie, and the Mason will like go, oh no, my powers have been taken from me, and then that's kind of how I feel like it's going. But it would feel to me, I think Dylan needs to take a bit more agency. Like, Dylan's choosing to do this. I hope that he doesn't get away with it, and I hope that they explore a bit more about why it is that Dylan feels like he could do this. Like, why does he think...
Dylan was bullied at his own old school, wasn't he? That's why he's up from London.
That hasn't come up.
Hasn't that? I can't remember whether Sean's
we
mentioned it or not.
Well, maybe it was briefly mentioned, but I don't think... Why does Dylan get away with it, but Mason doesn't? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, why do we're making excuses for Dylan because we know him, and the character needs to be redeemed. But to me, that's just a safe way of telling the story. Why don't we talk about why is Mason doing it?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Aaron. Like, so doing something really evil and bad, but the character himself is much more nuanced and interesting than just that one bad thing. How much do you forgive that person? I don't know.
I still think possibly it would have been a bit more interesting if we'd known more about the characters of Liam and Dylan before it started. Definitely. Because although Liam's, Charlie's been playing Liam for donkey's years, since he was really little, but he's always been a real background character. And before this, the only thing that I could remember about Liam was that time that he was the rapping wise man in Brian's Christmas nativity play.
I know.
And Dylan, he's been on the show for 2-3 years now, but for all this time we've been wondering, why did they bring him back? He's not done anything. So maybe that's another reason why it's not completely hitting for me.
Well, this is the thing, right? So
I've got no investment in this character yet.
He's a blank slate, so there's a lot to be said for why that's a positive thing in this story, because he's there like any child. Anyone can look at him and go, gosh, that could be my kid, For people who don't have kids or don't sort of have any children in their lives or have like a memory of this happening to them, it feels like a hook would have helped that emotional connection. So if it had been somebody that I knew better, like maybe Amy, if this happened to Amy, I'd be trying to run into the screen to beat Mason up. But I don't think everybody needs that. Some people already have that attachment.
Good characters have got to start somewhere, haven't they? And I think lots of people are watching this and going, wow.
Loads of people are really
impressed. What a cracking
actor
this kid is. This is really, this is working for me. I just prefer not to have my first big experience of getting to know a character having, look at the misery that's being poured on.
Yeah, I know. That doesn't always work.
No.
Anyway, carrying on about the story. Dylan's under the thrall of Mason, so he's just become his henchman. George catches Gary in the cafe and he's on Liam's side and he's like, well, I don't think it was Liam's fault that he pushed this kid. He's a gentle guy, he's not a bully. And Gary's like, thank you for supporting. Because they haven't really developed this either. It feels like there should be there is a little bit of it, but it's not like a big side. People aren't taking sides so much. You've got Sean, who's got Dylan as his kid, who's taking his side. Then you've got George, who's agreeing with Gary and Maria that Liam is not a bad kid.
But George is kind of not really feeling like he's allowed to voice his opinions over at number 11, is he? Because number 11 Coronation Street is Team Dylan at the moment.
Yes.
Sean is being obnoxiously protective of his son. That's kind of getting to me a little bit. The fact that clearly Liam is not a bully, but then maybe again that's just us as the outside eye watching in on this.
I think you would be overprotective, because being accused of being, if your kid was accused of being bullied but the kid pushed your kid, you'd say, well, of course it wasn't my kid, the other kid pushed him.
I would have thought that if they've been mates for the past few years, Sean would know what Liam's like and know that he's a bit of a gentle type, a bit of a wet blanket.
No.
And that's not, in his remit to act in a bullying way, and but I guess Sean just doesn't want to think of that as about his son. And
this is what happens as well when kids get bullied, because the parents won't often do any discipline at home because they don't believe it's true.
Well, yes, exactly.
So, anyway, Gary says thank you, and he says, look, I think it was my fault because I told Liam to beat Mason up and it kind of backfired. So, Liam is being bullied and he's not good at making decisions or wise choices. And I don't want to victim blame, but I also don't want to encourage children who are getting bullied to take their puppets to school to fix them in view of the open classroom door. Because it looks like a doll.
Just think, Leah. Was he talking to it as well? I think
he was talking. I mean, it's very sweet and endearing. And obviously, I'm just joking here, because you should be able to play with your puppet if you want to without being picked on. But it didn't really. I mean, it just gave Mason and Dylan and all the bullies something to make fun of him.
Easy ammunition.
And then they start filming him on their phones.
Dylan's
filming, and then Mason grabs the puppet and bloody stamps all over it, and Liam's crying again.
Being filmed crying.
Yes. Oh God. Poor kid.
The thing is, this video...
That could have been an antique as well.
Well, I think it was.
Yeah.
This video hasn't gone public yet, has it? Mason's saving it. But the thing is, I don't know whether... Mason... He's doubled himself in, isn't it? If it goes public, because all is looking for evidence that he has been bullying him. So unless he crops himself out of it, or
well, this is what I'm wondering whether Corey's going to go there with this, because when they were filming it, I was thinking to myself, are these kids stupid? Because how many times have you read a story where there's been quite a few cases of videos that have been uploaded of some poor kid being kicked or punched or made fun of, or something's happening to them, and the bullies are filming it thinking it's the most hilarious thing they've ever seen or done, upload it to the internet, and then everybody hates them, and then they get bullied by the entire internet, and they get death threats, and fired or kicked off their courses, or
I mean, it may be Mason will upload it to show everybody, and then he'll get in trouble, but he'll blame Dylan as the filmer.
Yeah, but he was the stamping on the puppet.
Yeah, I know, and I think he'll use that as an excuse he'll want to take out his anger on somebody, and it might just be Dylan's. And you shouldn't have filmed me. How was I supposed to know? And that's what makes Dylan realise that the life of a bully isn't the life for me.
Right. So Liam goes home later and he says, I left the puppet in my locker, and I didn't speak to Dylan very much. And then George sees Gary in the pub, and Gary's asking him, how was Dylan when he came home from school? And George says, I haven't seen him yet. And Gary says, can you keep an eye on him, please? And then Mason is with Dylan at number 11, and they've got all these puppet bits on the sofa. And Dylan's like, we're being a bit mean. And Nathan's like, no. He deserves it because he's playing with puppets.
They have to have at least every episode that Dylan's in, they have to have him saying or looking at least once. I think this is in his contract.
What?
Like, I'm not really into this.
Oh yeah, I'm sad about this.
Just want to let you all know.
I'm doing this.
I'm not as bad as he am. I'm doing it under duress.
Yeah. George comes in, sees the leg, and Dylan's trying to say that it's just something from DT. And then Mason starts saying, "Oh, you're great. I wish I could do work experience at the
smart suit you've got, Mr.
directors. I really admire that." And George does not buy this at all. He's like, "Well, I don't think that is for you."
Yeah, he's right through Mason's attempts
Smarmy
at flattery.
Little git. Maria finds Liam in his room later. His eyes are all red and puffy, but she doesn't notice. Then she's like, "Dinner time," and he's like, "No, I'm not hungry." But when she goes, he's watching the video of himself. So where'd he get that from then?
I guess that it's been sent to him.
Right.
But
don't put it online. That's my advice. Yeah. On Wednesday, there's another frosty standoff between Liam, Dylan and Sean outside Victoria Court, when Sean says to Dylan, "Oh, if Liam does anything to you, you make sure you tell a teacher." Liam heads inside and he's like, "I don't want to go to school anymore. I can't cope with this." He goes inside his room, and Maria and Gary are like, "What the hell are we supposed to do about this?"
And finally they realise that it did seem like at the end of Tuesday's episode that Maria was almost willingly ignoring Liam's clear signs of distress. It's like, "You don't want your dinner then? No."
Why would you ever have a teen boy who said, "I didn't want my dinner," and you'd be like, "That's fine"? I would never have been able to say, "I don't want any dinner." I'd be interrogated for hours and then forced to eat it.
Well, I think Wednesday, finally, the penny drops for them.
So, Gary decides that maybe violence doesn't work when kids do it, but he'll do it. So he strides off down the street to have a word with Sean and maybe give him a bit of a slap about. But Maria stops him saying, "No, we need to go through the proper channels and speak to Mrs Crawshaw." So they go to Mrs Crawshaw's office, and she's like, "Oh, didn't know about that."
She knows that something's going on, but it feels like she's been written as so completely inept.
Like anyone with eyes can look and go, the height difference between these children and just the nature of their attitudes. I cannot believe for a minute that Liam is the instigator here. I can't. If you ask me to guess just looking at these kids, who's the bully, I know which one I'd pick.
Yeah. But
that's why he was cast.
the Crawshaw's saying, I can't do anything unless Liam tells me about it.
Is that true?
Which
I don't know if that's true. I don't know. She says there's only so much the school can do. Again, that is true as well. We don't want to live in a country where or in a culture where somebody can just say I'm being bullied, and then or a parent can say, these kids are picking on my kid, and then what? They just get kicked out of school on no evidence whatsoever. There needs to be a balance, doesn't there?
Yeah.
Because loads of parents overreact as well and say, "Oh, so-and-so's picking on my kid," when really they're just having an argument.
Yeah, you must know
there's squabbling,
that
and then there's
people
bullying.
that victims of bullying aren't always going to
tell you
about it, and I think she should probably have also recognised the signs in Liam and again looked at. I mean, knowing what Mason's like.
But obviously, there's no such thing as a perfect. There's no perfect response to this, and schools do get it wrong. It's just unfortunate that it always seems to be in Coronation Street.
It's also the fact that, as much as we like to think that there's only about 10 kids that go to Weathy High, Orla probably does have her plate full of other things
I'm
as
sick
well.
and tired of hearing about this. I've got other things to worry about. Eileen and George sit down with Maria in the cafe, and Maria tells her about the bullying suspicions and how Dylan's possibly involved, but she can't find any evidence. And Eileen's like, you know what you need to do? You need to go and send PX. That's where I go.
I think it felt really cheesy when they were
rubbish.
name dropping the fake brand. Usually, what they'll do is say the actual brand name, but then just show the fake one, don't they? Because they don't ever talk about voggling. They talk about googling things, and then you just see them on Voggle. And they talk. I'm sure they mentioned they name checked Instagram last year with the Daisy story, even though they showed Send PX. It was a bit of a. It did feel, it felt very jarring to hear that, because it Send PX doesn't sound like a real thing. No, and Miriam's like, I've checked his friend space, but I haven't thought of checking his Send PX. Like,
goodness me. That would have felt better if it had been like, oh, have you checked on his social media? Well, I don't know, I thought I checked one of his accounts, but maybe he's got another one. Yeah, it would have felt less jarring if they'd have just hinted. We're in a fake world. We know that they can't use the real one, but what about TikTok?
No, none of it can be mentioned. It's been a thing for ages, hasn't it? Didn't they have there wasn't it on the IT crowd they had friend face, was it called? I think.
It's
like they make a joke out of the fact that it sounds so ridiculous, but it's just one of these kind of catch 22 things that you can't.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do about it.
Do other dramas? I don't know. We don't watch other things. Do other dramas show actual Twitter? And
I don't know.
Maybe can they call it Twitter now? Is it fine? Is that a fine name to use? Because we don't call it.
I'm going to buy the name Twitter, and you can use it for whatever you want. Maria finds that Liam's got an account on Send PX, but it's private. So she tricks a child, doesn't she? And I would be ashamed of him for how quickly this worked.
I know.
She sets up a fake girl account, and Gary's like, he's not going to fall for that.
Oh,
but
no.
he does.
Within seconds. What was her name? Chloe or
he's
Clara
like, children aren't renowned for good judgment, so it's not really his fault. He's just a child, and this is why social media is not very good for kids. But don't accept random friend requests.
I kind of feel bad for him in that he's got no other friends.
No, he doesn't have any friends, the poor kid.
And before, did he only have one friend?
Was Dylan his actual friend?
I think so.
It's
horrible. Just by nature of the fact that they live near each other.
Yeah. He must be so lonely.
Yeah. I don't know whether it...
No wonder he wants a friend.
I don't know whether it strikes me as realistic or that there was literally nobody else at school. I think he could do with having somebody to open up to. I know that it's even worse that he is isolated, but I think in real life he probably would have another friend. He doesn't strike me
particularly as a loner. Some children don't mind that. Some children don't mind their own company, but he doesn't strike me as that. Anyway, you're supposed to have a gang of little misfits, like in It Chapter 1 or
exactly.
Stranger Things.
It feels like, there'd be other people at the
who will
AV
get bullied
club
by the older kids.
Yeah.
And then they set a demon on them or whatever.
Maybe that's the story's missing that.
Right, so it works. So she goes through and she sees lots of things that worry her, and she's crying, and it looks like he's been having loads of horrible comments. So Gary again decides to go and get Sean. He sees Sean in the street, And Sean's just refusing to believe any of this. And Gary says there's loads of homophobic comments on Liam's SendPX account, which have been posted by people with fake names, which I reckon includes Dylan.
Yeah.
And
Sean's like, he wouldn't
do that. So Gary gets called to Victoria Gardens by Maria, so he heads off. And then Sean sees Dylan and tells him what happened. And Dylan's like, quick, text Mason, and like tells him that they've got a problem with this.
I wonder how far they could push. Let's see some of these comments then. That's been another thing that's just... all we've seen is, rat boy, rat face, ratty, ratty, rat, rat. And
unfortunately,
in real life, it'd be so much...
tame, it's slightly comical.
Yeah, and then we're being told there's all these homophobic... and there must be something they would be allowed to say that would be ever so slightly shocking before the watershed. But this is
what the problem is with TV in general and media and stuff. Everyone's just so outraged and offended by everything, and everyone's so reactionary to it. Like, can't offend people. So how are you supposed to tell a story about this? I mean, loads of people would argue that you don't need to, because the way he was reacting is enough to make you realise how serious this is. But they are showing us comments. They're just showing us quite tame and silly comments that you might expect, 5-year-olds to say and send each other rat emojis. Not teenage boys. Teenage boys wouldn't do that. They'd be saying a lot worse than that. So that's why it seems a bit like hyperbole, doesn't it? Like, he's bullying him so much, and then you look at what the comments are, and they're saying he's a rat boy.
Corrie can shock in lots of other ways.
That would hurt your feelings, I know, but what they're insinuating that they're saying is not what they're showing us that they're saying. That disconnect is a bit jarring sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, and they will obviously not be endorsing these comments.
Well, that's the thing. I think that people don't get that now. I think people are... media literacy's gone out the bloody window, and people can't seem to understand that just because you show something doesn't mean you endorse it. That's why people get mad about some of these characters. Like, you have to have antagonists and baddies and villains in these shows, because not everybody's sweetness and light, and yet when you put them in, you just get complaints.
Yeah, and then they can put all your warnings up you like at the beginning, but people will still moan about it.
Yeah,
maybe there needs to be like a super warning, because we're all just
shut up about it.
We're all just so used to every single episode of Coronation Street saying, there may be scenes that some of you find that it's just dead to it now. So maybe they just need to start no, really, this is going to be bad. You just wait. Don't say I didn't warn you. One of those warnings.
No, it should be like, welcome to ITV, and now it's Coronation Street. Deal with it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
right. Anyway, so what? Why Gary's rushed off is because Maria has got Liam in Victoria Gardens, and he is telling her about being trolled, and she says, we need to tell Mrs Crawshaw if you want this to go away. So they go to the school and they tell her that they've got the proof that she wanted, and then they try to show her, and it's all been deleted.
I think somewhere, possibly before this, Liam
deleted it. Yeah, I said that.
No, but I think there was a message that Mason, because Dylan contacts Mason earlier in the episode, doesn't he? And I think Mason messages Liam and says, don't show Crawshaw or you're dead.
Yeah, but my question is then, maybe it's too many for him to deal with, but why didn't he just delete them before?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
What?
Anyway, so Maria's like, oh gosh, where's all the comments? And he says, no, it was just bants. And Crawshaw says, look, I know, but I do believe you, but again, I need to see this. There's nothing I can do unless I see it. It's like ghosts. On the way home, Gary stops up number 11 and he's like, I want to see Dylan's phone. And Dylan's like, no. And Sean says, no. And Gary says, this isn't over. Then George finds Dylan's left his phone and he tries to hack into it.
I thought this was very refreshing.
I know.
Somebody tried to crack someone's phone password and didn't manage it. He didn't get it on the third guess. He only got one guess in before Sean comes down.
Yeah,
like,
what are you doing? Everyone knows it. A teenage boy's PIN code is 8008.
I wish that they'd explored this avenue of the story.
Well,
a bit
maybe
more.
that will come up again.
Yeah,
maybe
George is going to be the key
he?
to this. He's the secret ally, and
he's the spy in Vichy, France. So Sean catches him. He's not happy about this, and George doesn't manage to hack into it. Liam wants to talk to Maria and Gary in the lounge later, and Gary's like, "Oh, I'm going to get that Dylan and Mason. They're going to get it." And Liam doesn't really buy it. Goes to bed, and then he goggles how to kill yourself. He closes the laptop when Maria comes in because he doesn't want her to see it, and she gives him a hot chocolate, and he hugs her, and he's in tears because he just didn't know what to do. Like, he thinks that's the solution.
Yeah, which is, you hear it on the news, don't you? And this
it's
I think
rising the number of children who are.
Yeah, had you seen? Because I think last week Corrie made a thing of Liam is going to have these thoughts. I do not know at the moment whether it's going to go any further, whether it was just that he Googles it. I
think it's enough that he did it once and that's it. I don't need to.
Yeah, I think that they did. I know they did the big warning a couple of weeks before Aidan took his own life a couple of years ago, and I think this was a bit of a trigger warning in a way. I hope it doesn't go any further. I don't believe at all that he is going to do that, but I guess, if they wanted to raise the stakes of it, they have done so.
Yeah, but children do look this stuff up, and they do even eventually do it because he can't see a way out. And what would you do?
I found it quite interesting that Maria didn't actually bring Aidan into the discussion of it today, because this was very, very close to home, wasn't it? This is the second suicide story for that.
Would it
for
help?
That family? No, but I don't think it'd help. But I don't know whether she'd say.
Who to?
But I don't know whether to Liam, is he too young to understand it? How much does he even remember Aidan? I'm not sure.
I know, but the thing is,
she said that you remember your Uncle Aidan.
There's a social contagion aspect of this that I don't know that you want to tell someone, because then you get it in your head like, oh, it's predestined, it's genetic, it's part of my family, or he did it. He seemed so much. His life was so much better than mine, and he did it. Yeah. So I should do it. I don't think it would be helpful for Maria to say, "Do you remember Aidan?"
Yeah. See, how was it? 2018, I think. So Liam would have been 8, 9. I wonder.
That would be enough to seriously disturb you.
I wonder whether he knows that that's what happened to Aidan, or whether it's been something that's kept from him.
Oh, maybe
is he going to find out? Oh, this is what my uncle did, and it's going to spur him on some more. I don't know, because I
don't know where this is going.
No, I think this.
I kind of want them to shut it down now.
Yeah, I don't, because I don't think he's going to do it, and I think it's been shocking enough.
Yeah, exactly, because he's so young, and I think a lot of people are probably shocked that children have these thoughts. Although I don't know why, because everyone was a child once. Yeah. Didn't you not have dark thoughts when you were a child? I was
a very happy boy. I think
children are really actually quite dark. Do you know?
Yeah. No, yes, of course, yeah.
I don't know if you were being sarcastic or true. Really terrible things happen in children's minds.
Yeah, I don't know.
It can be horrible to be a child.
Yeah.
It's horrible to be an adult.
I know.
Except you're in charge of your own self now.
Very true.
Nobody can help you.
Yes, and also we've learnt about the private what's it called? Private search tab thingy on your browser.
Oh yeah, always go to private mode.
Yeah, poor Liam, he's not learnt the incognito mode, or delete your search history.
I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and to say that he probably deleted some other things.
Do you reckon?
For that.
I didn't realise at the time, before they mentioned it today, that it was a school laptop. I was thinking, why does he have a laptop? Kids don't have laptops these days. No. He's probably a genius that he knows how to actually work Windows.
Oh, look, I can now open a file.
So this was the laptop that the school gave him so that he could do his home learning while he was excluded. Nice of them, isn't it? I think that's what you do these days, isn't it? I don't know. All the schools got a backlog of spare laptops since COVID times. So.
Oh, that's where all my money's going, is it? All my taxpayer money, giving children laptops to take home.
Yeah.
Right, so Maria takes the laptop back to school because it's half term, and she confronts Mason and Dylan, and they're in the precinct. Why are people not taking an opportunity to bully these kids? Like, why are you on the swings for? How old are you?
Maybe that's what Maria should do. Hide around the corner or stake out in Sweet Enough and then film them swinging on the swings.
The thing is, I know this is not a good move to do. This is just as bad as what Gary did, like, saying he was going to beat Sean up or whatever. But she doesn't help the situation because she goes up and she tells them how sad they're making Liam.
I know.
That just makes it hilarious.
That's fuel to the fire.
That just makes them go, yeah, brilliant, our evil plans are working. They've got no empathy whatsoever for this child. Of course they don't, because they're picking on him.
Hang on a minute, Gemma. Dylan does, because he
Dylan
gave a look.
A bit ashamed.
He had his token, I'm a bit ashamed look for the episode in this scene. I saw it.
When is Mason going to start the whole I want to shag your mum thing? Like, how come your mum's so hot?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so obvious. These kids need to step their games up. Right, so Liam comes into the salon. He's a bit sensitive because David's making fun of somebody's blue rinse and he doesn't like that.
That's bullying David.
And then Maria tells Liam he should think about talking to Mrs Crawshaw about giving her some evidence, because she says I know it's Mason and Dylan.
I've just been speaking to them.
I've just told them, and he's like,
no,
what did you do that for? Why your mum? Oh my god, that's the last thing you want. You don't want your mum telling. You want your dad there giving him a kick up the bum. I'm
kind of glad for Liam's sake that it wasn't, because I think Gary probably would have got himself in trouble.
Just murdered them, yeah. So he goes and he says, and this is when he gets a bit like worrying, because he gets really intense and he's like, you're a good mum, I love you, and he gives her a hug, and then he sort of goes away, and he's got this very weird effect to him, like he's kind of spaced out a little bit and looking a bit sombre. And then we cut to the school, and this mystery extra staff member has appeared there.
They all just appear at the school in half term. It's like, if the kid's gone, can I come out?
Brilliant.
Hiding behind my desk?
Yeah. Maybe Mrs Crawshaw is reproducing asexually by dropping bits off of herself and growing new teachers from them. So she's got this laptop. She says, oh, you got to look at this. This is a bit worrying. Maria's talking to Daniel, just ignoring all the phone calls that she's getting from the school, because she's asking him for advice. And then Gary shows up because Mrs Crawshaw has to phone him because Maria's not answering the phone. And she shows them a laptop. So he rushes off to the salon, like, where's Liam? We need to find him. He's been searching.
Yeah, you think your kid's about to sort of talking about killing themselves, and rather than going straight home,
he goes
the
to
most
the
likely
salon.
Place where your child's going to be. He's like, where would Liam be? Probably at work with his mum.
Yeah. So they rush off. They get home, and Liam's fine, and Maria's just sobbing hysterically and crying, and she thinks she thought he was dead. How awful would you feel? You'd be sick.
Mm.
Imagine that trip she had from the salon to home. How long that took her to... Oh.
Gary would have been in trouble.
Gary would have been so much
Why'd you come to see me first?
Oh, Gary would never heard the end of it. Liam says, I didn't mean it, I was just being stupid. And Maria says, why did you want to do it? And he says, I was just thinking, like, you deserve better than me, and I just cause grief and everyone hates me, and this would be a way to end it. And she's just begging, like, in tears, come and to give evidence about what's happened. And he said, I can't. And she's like, tell me everything, please, everything they've done, every name they've said, everything they've ever done to you. And so he goes through everything. He tells her about the messages, the trainers, the fact they threw rubbish on him, and the marionette that they broke, and the fact that it was Dylan as well. And he thought they'd stop eventually, but they won't. And he can't tell Mrs Crawshaw because he's scared. And also, they've got this video of him crying, and they'll show it to everybody. And he also is like, don't tell everybody that I was looking up suicide, because he's worried about that too. And honestly, horrible Mason is so vile, he'd probably think that was funny as well.
Oh yeah,
there's no redeeming this horrible kid.
Yeah, I mean, if that gets out, that's just going to give him more fuel, isn't it?
I know I said that there is still depth to somebody like that. There is still, that people do have different layers, but I don't know. I don't think they're ever going to go anywhere with Mason.
No.
So Mrs Crawshaw turns up the flat, like, I think she's a bit worried she's going to get in trouble. Like, don't tell us,
isn't it?
Please don't tell the local
I don't think it's usual
authority.
For teachers or head teachers to go do home visits for things like this. I think she is covering her back a little here.
She's like, is he all right? we're going to launch a full investigation. But when she actually explains what this is, it doesn't feel like it's enough for Maria and Gary. And there's, you know, her hands are tied and she says this. There's only
really
so much
is.
she can do. And
you can't just exclude somebody with, you know, no investigation.
Well, yeah, of course you can't.
Although, I mean, they did for
that
Liam.
Liam.
They
No,
literally, Liam
they said, did he do it? And they went, yes, he did.
He gave
They went,
Liam a
good
little
enough for
shove.
me. Good enough for me. Maria and Gary want the boys expelled, and Mrs Crawshaw's suggestion that they put Liam in isolation and everyone gets separated and he has a safe space at school. And they're like, that's not going to bloody help, is it? I want you to get rid of these kids, please. And she's like, well, I can't really do that. It's not in line with school protocol, which frustrating on both sides of this because she probably wants to do more too.
I think she probably does now she realises.
What can you do? You can't
It's
just...
taken her a long time, but she's probably feeling somewhat guilty that it's taking her quite so long to twig.
But what would it do? Like, a teacher or a head, you know, that you can get in serious trouble by reacting. Like, children have a right to education. Anyway. So Maria then goes through the flat and she's trying to find things that Liam would use to hide them from him. And she wants to homeschool him as well.
Yeah, she's saying, look, he's not going back. He's not going to go there. I'm not going to have him back to school. Having a safe space. There's no safe space.
No, of course. And also she wants her and Gary to sleep on the floor in his room. What's happened to the other kid?
He was there. We saw
I know, but why can't he sleep on the floor?
A little bit of Jake.
Jake, you have to help.
Yeah, Jake's a good guard dog name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Go on, Jake. Curl up on the end of the bed.
Aww. Imagine what awful it is to really genuinely be going through your house going, I don't want my child to use this. I just can't imagine.
Yeah, so there we go. There was that story.
I think we've done quite a lot of discussion as we went through it.
Yeah, I don't know whether there's a whole lot...
more to say.
No. I guess, you know... The message to take away from this, if you're a parent and you see nasty comments about your child online, is screenshot them.
Well, that's what they were saying in their advice column, weren't they? Column.
They had Luca and Liam McShane doing a video, didn't they?
Saying, make sure you gather evidence, take screenshots, save the comments, tell somebody, don't keep it a secret.
Yeah, it's good that they do things like that, but like I said to you the other day, I wonder who they're for, because I don't imagine, as much as Ian McLeod is doing his best to woo the young viewers, I don't know whether there's many people of secondary school age like this that are watching.
Don't know.
I don't know.
But it also is good for the parents too, because they can say to their kids, I know what you can do.
But yeah, that's why I think it would have possibly been better if they'd have had Samir and Mikey doing it.
But I think they have done something like that, haven't they?
I don't know.
There's loads of stuff on itv.com/advice.
Yeah. But anyway.
This is a very, very heavy story. Very heavy. It is February. It's already dark.
Well... lighter times are coming. Oh, they're not. No, I'm glad that other people are enjoying it. It's not quite hitting where it should do for me. I'm good on Charlie. He's doing a cracking job. He is doing what he needs to earn more.
Also is Luca.
I just don't know. Luca, I think he's fab. I
punt him in the canal.
Yeah, and I think that Liam McShane is also a cracking actor as well. He's just feeling a little bit underused in this story.
I just wonder I feel like there are loads of ways that this could go. What's going to happen?
So, I mean, do you think that Dylan and Mason will be expelled? I've got a feeling that they will be, and Mason will probably just hang around the streets some more. I can imagine him, especially if Liam's being homeschooled, Mason gets expelled,
just kicking the
then
ball
he's just going to be
outside.
Yeah, he's going to be sitting around in Victoria Gardens looking up through the window at him.
You know, and Maria was saying stuff about, I'm going to go to the police about this, but the police are limited as well about what they can do, because they're all underage, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do with the kid.
I mean, they're past the age of criminal responsibility, but I mean, Mason could well end up going to old
Juvie.
What was it? PS. Yeah, I don't know.
P Diddy School for Naughty Children.
Yeah, Daniel's School. He could be a student
What's
at
it called?
Daniel's. PCU.
Oh yeah, the PRU.
Yeah, PRU. That's it. Yeah, I do. It feel I don't know what the exit strategy for Mason of this is because, like I said, he's clearly not going to be in it anymore.
It's either going to be something really anticlimactic, like
he's not going to see the light, is he?
No.
And reform.
It's going to be something anticlimactic, like Dylan pushes him and go, "How do you like that? That's a taste of your own medicine." And then Mason goes and runs away. Or it's going to be his dad turns up and beats him up and takes him home, and we just assume that he's living a miserable life, being abused, and we're supposed to find that satisfying for some reason. Or what? Like he escalates it to absurd lengths and does some kind of stunty thing, and then he actually does get taken away by the police.
I think that it's more likely to be that. I think they want to make sure that there's,
consequences.
Yeah, there's consequences, and that he doesn't come back, because I don't think he would just drop it. I don't think he's going to realise, what I've done is wrong.
No, I don't think he would.
So maybe it's going to be a bit like a Corey situation, and he just gets whisked away somewhere. I don't know, but it feels like they've still got plenty of gas in the tank still for this story. I don't think we're going to be seeing the end of it anytime soon.
Yeah.
Okay, so
from one miserable
teen to another. Slightly older one. Yeah, Simon. So he had his car crash at the weekend, didn't he? And the story starts with the follow-up from that, where he's still pretty worse for the wear of it. Nick still doesn't realise...
feels like it happened months ago.
I know, it really, really does, doesn't it? In fact, 4 episodes of Corey was a bit much this week,
it really
to be honest. But anyway, he's given up on the booze. He's had a bit of a shock to the system. He's gonna be all right now.
Well, it wasn't even 4, was it? Because we've had 5, haven't we? We had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then today. So we've had 5 episodes in 6 days.
Yeah.
Which and 2 podcasts.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Which I think they should really take into consideration.
Sam is not having the best of mornings though, because they decide to drag out the after effects of this car crash just a little bit longer, don't they? By making him have his head not in the game with his early morning chess game with Roy. But then we find that he's had a bit of a swooning attack in the classroom at school later, and of course Hope is the one to find him there, passed out on the floor. It was either going to be Hope or Mrs Crawshaw, wasn't it, that was going to find him? Although maybe they could have had Mason found him. And he's like, I've fresh meat to bully here. So Sam's fainted. I don't know whether he's just read a particularly moving poem or something.
You couldn't bully Sam because you just follow you around going, "Why are you being horrible? What is it about your life?"
Maybe that's how they're going to get rid of Mason in the end. They'll just have Sam inquire him into defeat.
There must be something bad. I read a book once about a bully and he had a terrible home life. Do you have a terrible home life? Is your dad mean to you?
What's the difference in age between Sam and Liam? It's probably a little bit, isn't it? No, 3-4 years maybe? They could be friends.
I've got no conception.
Sure, Liam would love to play chess. Nick, meanwhile, is blissfully unaware about the details of what happened in this car crash. He thinks it's nobody's fault, it was just an accident. But then Kevin comes in, paying for this work that's been done on the car, $1,500 by the way, and Nick asks him about the brakes, because this is what he's been told was the cause of it, and Kev's like, there's nothing wrong with the brakes. So, Nick realises that something it's a bit deeper than he first thought, but can't go any more investigating because he's heard about Simon though, and he has to go rushing off to hospital. And they're there, and there's the doctor, Dr. Brainscan, saying, Simon, Sam, you had any head injury recently? And Nick's like,
I had one of them.
I had one. Oh yeah. See, Nick should be sympathising even more about this, shouldn't he? Because this is exactly what happened.
This is prime Nick territory.
Yeah. Anyway, they're having a scan. It's all very like drama for drama's sake. Is he going to be all right? Yes, he's going to be fine, everybody. Leanne, what I guess the outcome of all this is that Leanne has to admit to Nick that Simon was driving drunk the previous day, and that's why it happened. Simon hears about what's been going on from Auntie Toya, and he's feeling pretty guilty about the whole thing. So he decides to hand himself in at the police station. What an honest citizen he is.
Wow, what a good guy.
I think that deep down he is.
He's just petulant and moody.
I think he's good at heart. He's not a wrong un, is he?
Influence.
And he's missing his dad, bless him. So anyway, he's going into the police station to turn himself in, and they take him a lot more seriously than they did this John guy from last week who confessed to murdering.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that.
What was it? What was that about?
Natasha.
Oh yeah, murdering Natasha. And they were like,
Police
lovely, off you go. And then Simon comes in and is like, I was drinking when I was drunk. Right, we're having you right in.
I'm not having this again. I'm not having this again.
Spanish Inquisition, Simon.
I got in so much trouble for letting that terminally ill murderer leave last week.
Yeah. So he gets the book thrown at him. Meanwhile, Roy's in the hospital later. Doctor comes over and says, "Oh, Sam, you're fine. No worries on your brain scan." Roy's kind of funny, kind of impressing this guy with his medical knowledge. And the guy just says, "Sam, you just need to rest.
The brain is the thinking part of your head.
No more booze, no skydiving. You'll all be fine."
I thought you said no sky. That rots your brain.
No Sky TV.
Sky.
Yeah.
No,
so,
especially not the football channels.
Leanne takes Sam home. No sign of Simon there, though. Toya didn't know where he is. She can't get hold of him on the phone. Where is he? Oh, yes, he's at the police station.
Oh, yeah.
Nick's at the cabin trying to get a couple of free sherbet lemons from Glenda. And she's like, "Oh, how's Simon doing? By the way, he was proper steaming at the pub last week. Did you know about that one? Did you know he's a massive drunk?" And Nick's like, "What is this?"
What?
So he goes home, makes a couple of snidey, sarky Nick quality remarks at Leanne and says, "Oh, look, look, Simon's boozing, you're covering it up. You're just as much to blame for the crash as he is."
Yeah.
And then Simon comes in. Nick has a bit of a go at him too. And Simon then reveals, "Oh, I've been talking to the police. I've handed myself in. I've got a slap on the wrist."
Did he get in trouble?
I can't remember what happened to him in the end, to be honest. Nick tells Simon, he flies off the handle saying, "Sam's not safe around you. Either you leave the flat or me and Sam will." I thought that Nick was... Maybe it's just the way he said it, but it felt like he was overreacting a bit.
What?
Nick.
Right.
So it's, saying, "Oh, this is the worst thing in the world, and I'm not having you living here anymore." And
everyone's always kicking somebody out of that house.
Yeah, they are. Maybe, yeah, he's just getting his own
Get
back
out
on the
of
time
my
that he
house.
was kicked out of the house a year ago.
Yeah.
Simon's like, "Oh, I will then," and then
Sam's the only one that's allowed to live there.
Yeah. And Leanne, of course.
Oh,
no moving
Leanne.
Queen Leanne. So Simon ends up having a kip in the ginnel, doesn't he? In the rain.
Oh, sad.
On Monday night.
Oh.
Sad times because clearly Carla's sofa is far too lumpy for him to sleep out on there.
Honestly, for goodness sake, another person who makes themselves homeless on Coronation Street and expects us to be sad.
Within weeks of Ed doing the same thing as well.
Don't set fire to anything.
Yeah. So things aren't looking good between Nick and Leanne by the end of the episode. And he's bought this lovely engagement ring for her as well. Tuesday then. So was this the Valentine's Day episode?
Yes.
Yes, it was. Because it was on...
It was supposed to be on Wednesday.
It was supposed to be set on Valentine's Day, but it was actually shown on Valentine's Day Eve, wasn't it? And this was the original day that Nick had been planning to propose to Leanne.
Oh, what a surprise.
But
Valentine's
because she's
Day
been a bit
proposal.
of a cow, in his eyes at least, he decides to hold fire on that. Anyway, Sam's missing Simon. He says, "Oh, this is my fault that I crashed. I was probably being really annoying in the back of the car. You know what I'm like." He doesn't know about Simon's boozing, of course. And Nick and Leanne take the opportunity to have yet another argument about Simon when Sam takes himself off to his room. So Leanne finds Simon all huddled in the cold in Victoria Gardens, and she's like, "Oh, Simon, you're such a big-hearted, beautiful soul." And he's like, "No, I'm not. I'm a loser. I wasn't even around to say goodbye to my dad. I'm totally screwed up, Mum."
No, you don't bully yourself.
No, that's not the way to do it.
You can outsource
lessons
it.
Get lessons from Mason. And Leanne gives him a teary hug as well. I thought this was nice.
Yeah.
I think I've definitely got a bit more sympathy for Simon.
I've got sympathy for him too, because he's been screwed over by Peter so bad. Everyone has. Peter's like, "Bye." I'm not even answering the phone to him now.
His whole life has been being screwed over by Peter, to be honest.
Yep.
And he has the whole internet against him. Simon's not the most popular character, is he?
Definitely not.
he's had a tough upbringing, as he has. So Leanne and Simon back in the flat later, and he's saying, "Oh, my life's so awful. Drink makes me feel better. Everyone else drinks, why not me?"
Tell you what you should do: become a sommelier.
Why is that?
You drink, and it's your job.
Oh yeah, good point.
Be a wine taster. Start yourself off in the bistro, upselling people on glasses of wine. Eventually, you end up in Good Morning Television, getting Holly Willoughby drunk off a Chianti.
Maybe that's what he'll end up doing. Maybe this is the beginning of something big.
Exactly, it's what I'm saying. This is why I'm gonna announce my new offering for patrons is career advice. But I'm going to tell you that all of it's just going to be wine tasting.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael.
It's
completely derailed you.
No, I found this story just a bit boring, really, wasn't it? I just find, as the years go by, I find Nick just less and less as a sympathetic character.
Nick's become a hollow shell recently. He used to actually be fun. He used to really, at the moment, I think they're just relying on Ben Price to squint at things, and in lieu of a personality, because he definitely was more nuanced and interesting, but he's just become a prop.
He's just become a massive grump. He's no fun, is he?
No, he's not.
But maybe that's what life with Leanne does to you.
I think that he's just really been diminished as a character. He's only really funny when he's with the Platts, but he's not with the Platts very much. He's mostly with Leanne in the bistro, and honestly, both of them have been hamstrung a little bit by not having personalities anymore.
They're kind of like the serious couple, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
There's no levity in this relationship whatsoever. Everything's just kind of very serious, and
what do they talk about?
Oh, who knows?
Well, that's why when Nick was saying, "Oh, let's go on a date, let's have a date," I was thinking, what? To talk about what? And do what? And go where? Do you have any hobbies? I mean, he likes running.
He likes his running, doesn't he?
And no offence, but that's quite a boring hobby, isn't it? Well, it is. I mean, I like running, but it's not. You can't make a conversation out of it. I went running, did you? Yeah, I did. Saw a rabbit.
Got
did
a PB.
you? No, I didn't. I didn't see a rabbit. I was just trying to make it sound interesting.
Nick kind of has a bit of sympathy for Simon by the end of the episode, because he hears just how bad it's got, and he's like, "Oh, I'm poor you. You can stay. You suppose you can stay with us for a time.
Did try to kill my child.
Yeah.
I mean, has Simon tried to counter that with he was being really annoying and talking when I was trying to concentrate and I was already drunk?
So it kind of Wednesday's episode is more when the wedding stuff starts kicking off, doesn't it? Simon's still there apologising to everyone about being an ass for the last couple of weeks. Nick doesn't completely seem convinced by it.
No, I wouldn't be convinced either.
So what we got? And Leanne starts to feel that Nick's not loving her anymore.
It's difficult to tell though, isn't it?
Yeah. I can't picture them being like affectionate.
I know, but this is crazy because these two have been in each other's pants since they were teenagers.
25 plus years.
But where's the spark? Where's the chemistry? Where's the charisma? They work together really well as a pair of actors when they have the opportunity to. But is it too little too late now? I don't know.
I wonder whether it's kind of a case of they are always in each other's pockets. You know, they live together, they work together.
Yeah.
We see an awful lot more of them as business owners.
That's true.
Rather than a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe that's got what's got in the way. You know, the bistro is taking over their life. They've said that we can't even have we never get to have Valentine's Day together because that's our biggest night at the bistro. I definitely get that the sparks would have gone out of their relationship.
Because people who work nights for any reason we're gonna have a hard time as it is anyway.
They've got late nights at the bistro now. They've got our licence, haven't they?
But what's your social life look like when you both work nights all the time in hospitality?
Yeah.
What do you do? I don't know. I can't even imagine. It just seems like a real...
It's taken over everything.
Yeah, like you'd never live.
But anyway, Leanne decides to take the bull by the horns and do a bit of proposing of her own, doesn't she? Because, I can't remember. Oh yeah, Toya tells Leanne earlier in the episode that Nick was going to propose to her. And so Leanne says, well, if he's not going to do it, then I'm going to as well. And she says it's leap year this year, and although it's not February the 29th yet, I'm going to get down on one knee and do a bit of a propose. And I actually thought that was...
Emily Nugent.
I thought that was actually proper sweet. Leanne
actually
had a nice little smile on her face.
She actually looked happy for the first time in, 15 years?
Yeah.
You forget what Leanne can actually be like when she's happy.
But trust Nick to...
Really?
He doesn't seem as into it, does he?
No.
Like, Nick, will you marry me? What?
Oh, you're going to get dirt on your knees.
Not sure. Yeah, he kind of... Nick admits that to David at the end of the episode.
Yes,
he
but then he's like...
Yeah, he says yes,
he's not really enthusiastic. He's like, oh, yeah, of course. And then
he tells David. Nick that he tells David that I was nearly going to say no.
You can't say no.
I was nearly going to... Well, yeah, what?
You can't say no. You've got to say yes and then say no later.
Yeah. Although I feel that it would make sense if they have drifted apart a bit, it's feeling that the main reason he's saying it at the moment is just as a result of the drama that's happened in the last 2 or 3 episodes.
He'll forget about it. If there's a week off, he'll forget about it next time he's on screen.
They should have done a bit more than they did with Steve and Tracy and just had him randomly dropping into a conversation.
I'm not having a fun time with Leanne. Right.
He's going to... I think they still should get married, despite the fact that I'm not loving them as a couple at the moment. I still do think that they belong to each other. Maybe that's just my rose-tinted glasses and saying, well, they first loves.
Yeah, I know, definitely. I think that, yeah.
Anyway, Friday, Sam's after the best man spot. Nothing a whole lot happened on this one today, did it?
No,
Toya's getting very excited about the wedding organisation.
Why is Toya suddenly a wedding girl who cares about weddings? And wants Leanne to have a big wedding. She didn't have a big wedding with Imran. She didn't seem to ever give the impression that she cared about weddings until suddenly she gets the chance to spend someone else's money on going to Mykonos or whatever.
I think that you can be excited about someone else's wedding but not want it for yourself.
Which why is she convincing us she needs to spend loads of money and have a big wedding though? She was basically invalidating her own wedding. She kept saying, no, you can't have a small wedding, you have to have a big one, Once you see how great big weddings are, you won't want a small wedding. But she had a small wedding, what is she talking about? Do you see my point?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Anyway, they just have a couple of scenes of getting together and having chats, and Gail turns up and...
Do you think if Imran and Toya had a big wedding, she wouldn't have killed him?
Yeah, quite possibly.
Maybe that's what she's trying to hint.
Yeah.
The bigger the wedding, the less likely you are to kill him.
Yeah. Anyway.
At least as far as I'm concerned.
Are they going to get married abroad?
No.
I don't know.
Are they going to do a DVD special?
Yeah.
No. They're not going to do it abroad. They're going to do it at the bistro.
Do you think that... do you reckon? Bistro wedding?
I hope they don't. I hope they do actually do it somewhere else.
Just to surprise us.
Just some new place. Or
do you think that
Hotel.
Do you think that they will get married?
Yes.
We haven't seen Chariot Square Hotel for guys.
What do you reckon? The lawyer's office this week.
We did see the lawyer's office this week. Yeah.
They were like, quick, put it back.
I'm going to say it must be at least 2 weeks since we've seen Chariot Square. I think they've forgotten it exists.
I think they're going to have a wedding just so there can be Leanne and Nick on the front of the soap mags going, "Wedding from hell?" ?
Yeah.
Will they do it again ?
I'm not excited by the prospect, but it feels like they probably should be married.
And then Sam probably in between them going, oh.
Sam's going to be a cute little
something terrible
boy.
will happen to Sam. Maybe he'll get kidnapped for the 5th time.
Well, I wonder, because Damon's still in the picture. He wasn't in it this week, was he? But I wonder whether he's going to upset the apple cart at the wedding, maybe.
How many times has Sam been kidnapped or nearly killed?
But again, more than you would expect an average 12-year-old kid, yeah.
I think that's right. Anyway,
that was it. It was
very sweet. It was very sweet. I liked Leanne's happy expression.
The proposal was my best bit
sweet.
of this. And I'm glad that things seem to have settled down a bit for Simon. Do you think that his drinking problems are over now? Is that it?
Fine, yeah.
Just need a little car crash.
Just need to once you hit your car once, everyone knows that. That's why police always say we give you one DUI because then you might crash and get it out of your system.
He's still missing Peter though, and it feels like it shouldn't be over.
No. I think that
I've enjoyed seeing more of him the last couple of weeks because he's been seriously underused for years now.
I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here, but from the podcasts I've listened to, which are mostly American ones, about over the years, I get the impression that drink driving in America is a lot more not acceptable, but it seems to happen a lot more, and people seem to be a bit more chill about it than
you told me this.
Like here, people think you're the scum of the earth. If you do anything, like if you have an accident or something, you're like absolute scum. Whereas in America, it's like, well, you know.
Is this true, American
I think in
listeners?
some places in America, I think that they just don't frown upon it. Like here, I think it becomes like this big moral failing, and people think you're like an evil, nasty.
Well, I just know from like seeing it on films that as long as you got a wad of dollar bills under your dashboard, and you just give it to the police.
That's not how it works.
Is it not?
You have to shoot them. You have to get into a shootout.
Right. Anyway, that was. I think
some places in America where there's nobody's around on the roads, and so if you roll into a ditch, you kill yourself and no one else, so it doesn't really matter. Or like the bars, like half an 30 minutes away, so you have to drive, and there's no taxis and you get in trouble even if you're drunk in your car. Like if you go in your car and you fall asleep because you're drunk, instead of driving home, you still get in trouble, so you might as well drive home. That's all the stories that I've heard. Just seems a lot more casual. Well, so maybe Simon should move to America, is what I'm saying.
Maybe he should. Right, Bobby Robson, Gemma. The Mystery of Lauren's Man.
Everybody loves Bobby.
But he was all right. I'm not going to say he was great.
I know, but the thing is, though,
but he was less awful this week.
The following word about him many times, which is not the best compliment, but it's the best compliment he's had so far. Tolerable.
Yeah, that's what the word we used ourselves the other day.
I've seen it on the internet. I've seen quite a few people saying he's all right. He's fairly tolerable this week, so...
They've certainly toned down the quick fire
This
jokes.
would have been enough time.
Yeah, I think
this will be the point at which they had feedback for his initial.
Yeah, I think that what we're seeing this week was probably filmed in beginning of January. I mean, it might have been to the tail end of
beginning of Jan. Well, no, they would have got. This would be by the time. How many weeks has he been in it now?
Well, he's been in it six or 7 weeks. Yeah, but the Christmas holidays, they start filming. So I'm not...
So maybe he hasn't had any feedback yet.
He might not have had any yet. He might have just... They either filmed this at the very beginning of this year or the tail end of last year. So we're getting to... Not that it's going to make much difference in terms of scripts. You can't, have all your scripts where he's been written as a comedian and say, people don't like this on the first episode.
Some bits.
Maybe, but
because a lot of these lines are just pointless. You could change them.
But I think it would be very foolhardy to try and make massive changes based on first episode feedback.
Yeah, but you also can't bulldoze your way through and go, oh well, no, people will get used to it.
We said it when he first started that this is often if you've got a character who's like, this is what the sort of person they're like. They really like to hit you over the head with it. For the first few weeks. Hey viewers,
you're stupid, aren't you?
This guy's
need to be told over and over again.
This guy's really, really, really funny, and he knows
He's funny. This guy's a ladies' man. This one's a criminal. This one's a scallywag.
But this week he was... I mean, there was the odd joke here and there. I'm not saying that...
He's still being a sex pest.
He's still being a bit of a sex pest, and I'm still not finding when he is having jokes that I'm finding them especially funny.
I laughed a couple of times at him this week.
Yeah, no, there's been a few, but I'm still gonna say it's not the best hit to miss ratio.
I didn't get
but
why...
he's definitely tolerable, and I almost will say that I've liked him this week.
But I know, but on Monday though they tried to make him tragic, and that didn't work either. So what can he be if he's not tragic or comic?
Yes, because, you know, he is the son of Rob Donovan.
But this is what I mean. I was like, I don't really care about this. I don't feel sad for him. And he got over it remarkably quickly.
Well, they seem like the whole thing about, he's Rob's son and Rita hates him. That lasted for about one episode. And the idea was just...
anyway. Yeah.
The idea was just so that he and Lauren could have something else to bond over, because her dad is also in prison.
Right, so Bobby's in the cabin asking for gaming magazines. And
there aren't very many these days. I don't know, you know, that Bobby's
got
heard,
some
but
in the back, like
the internet is the place for gamers.
Right, so he reveals to Rita that he's Rob's son, and she's not impressed because he kidnapped her and hit her on the head or something.
No, he didn't do anything.
But he killed Tina, who's Rita's friend.
Yeah.
And Beth comes in.
Rita did also slap Tina on the same episode, so maybe it's a bit of guilt creeping in there as well.
Beth comes in and realises there's an atmosphere, and then Sally and Beth are gossiping about Bobby in the factory, and then Bobby's picking up on this. And he knows something. I don't even know what he knows about.
He told Carla, I think it was, that Rob had told him, or that maybe his mum had told him, I don't know.
Self-defense.
That Tina had attacked Rob in self-defense.
No.
So attacked Rob, and Rob then beat her over the head with a crowbar in self-defense.
And then she went to hospital and she dressed up like Lilo from Fifth Element, and then she got...
I think if Bobby had seen a picture of Tina McIntyre, he might have realised, hang on a minute, that can't be right.
Oh, wouldn't you be interested? Bobby strikes me. He's intelligent and he's inquisitive. He seems like a curious boy. Wouldn't you not have looked this up?
Yeah.
I would have looked this up. It's not like it was hidden information. Anyway, so he asked
He just
Carla,
needs to look on Netflix at the moment, doesn't he? And see what's that programme called?
Fool Me Once.
Fool Me Once.
What a silly programme. Right, anyways, it was fun, but it was very silly. And lots of things didn't actually matter in the end, did they? No. Right, so he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that my dad would kill somebody in cold blood. I need to think about this. And then he chats to Lauren later and they bond over the fact that dads are both wrong-ins. And she tells him about Reese and how it's just all tainted, all of her childhood, everything, all of her memories. No wonder I attract terrible men, she says. And he says her next one will be a good one.
He's talking about himself.
Yes. Back at the flat later, Bobby asks Carla about the murder a bit more. And she's like, I was one of the suspects, actually. I had to film a whole scene where it was me that killed her. It was really good.
When he was like, Auntie Carla, can you tell me about what happened to Tina? And she's like, hang on, I think I got it on video here. Yeah. Put it in. Oh no, that's the one where I killed her. Let's just do the next one. Oh no,
Rob
that
would like this, I'll tell you that for nothing.
Tracy.
Get him out of prison. Yeah, because this is a bit awkward for Carla, isn't it? Because the reason that she was suspected was because Tina, the victim, was having an affair with Peter at the time, and everyone thought that she did it because she was jealous, or Peter did it because he was jealous. But it turned out that Rob did it because I forgot why.
She knew something that was boring. Oh no, it was to do. He'd been doing dodgy stuff with Tracy
boring.
at the
business boring business rubbish.
Shop.
Like, you've been trying to sell Windows 95. Shut up! Push her over the side. So, it must have been tough for you. And she says, I refuse to let his crimes affect how people think of me. And it shouldn't affect how people see you either. Now, this isn't... This to me felt like a bit of rewriting of history here.
Why?
Because nobody looks at her differently because Rob was her brother. They looked at her differently because she was embroiled in this salacious affair whereby she was one of the suspects.
Yeah.
That wasn't why people were giving you side eyes, Carla. It's because we literally thought you did it at one point. So what's she saying this for? She's acting like she's got some kind of insider knowledge about about feeling like you're related to a criminal. No, we thought you were a criminal. You have pushed people down the stairs. Anyway, on Tuesday, Lauren turns down Bobby's offer of going out tonight, but there's obviously some kind of
starts
flirting.
To properly brew. By
he catches her outside the tram
Valentine's
stop.
Day after all.
And she's coming back from the library empty-handed because they didn't have any of the course books she wanted.
I'm kind of thinking, is that not also online? I don't think that. I think if you're at university, I think the library's just like empty now. I think you get it all. I think you get it all online.
Well, she can't buy them because she can't afford it. But normally that's what you would do if you're doing English. Anyway, in the precinct later, Bobby says to Evelyn, can you help me buy all these books? And so she does it, and then he gives her all the books.
That had the nice little scene of
kind of
Evelyn coming back with all the books and him getting a bit jokingly flirty with her.
I don't like it.
I quite like
it's
that.
Disrespectful.
It was better than him calling her puppy woman.
Why have they got this? Why are they trying to make Bobby and Evelyn happen? Leave her alone. Right, so it seems to do the trick, and she gets invited back, and then sex pest Bobby turns the thermostat down to make Lauren cold, so she'll get under the blanket with him. And we're supposed to think this is charming, not Machiavellian and weird.
I didn't mind that quite so much. As much as I've moaned about him trying to nag her phone number out of her for the past few weeks, I thought that was quite a smooth move.
It wasn't smooth, it was gross, but I would have preferred it if Lauren had known. That would have made the scene fine and sweet to me. If Lauren had known he was trying to pull a fast one, but she didn't mind. It's just, can you not see how this is creepy?
Yeah, I know.
This is just creepy.
I think he's kind of realised
he's wearing her down.
It's working. She's starting to show an interest, and he's just speeding the process up.
Okay, no. Doesn't matter who you are, this is creepy. On Wednesday, at the factory, Carla's like trying to find out what's going on between Bobby and Lauren. And he's saying, oh, I'm hopeful. And then he can't help but be pervy about it, though. That's the thing. He keeps making pervy comments. And she's like, watch out, because she's got baggage. Why doesn't anyone warn him that she's a white supremacist?
Yeah, has that come up in conversation yet?
I think it would be fair to mention this.
It must have done. If she's talked about her dad being in prison,
but she never said why. I don't imagine that he told her why his dad was in prison either. He killed a teenage girl. He killed Soap's sexiest female 10 years in a row. Whatever, anyway. So Simon comes to the factory and Bobby's telling him about his evening with Lauren. And then he brings some flowers to the cafe for her, but it's not very impressive compared to the one that
It looks like it might have come from Debs.
Another one turns up from someone else he feels very awkward and leaves, and she doesn't want this bouquet that's been sent to her, and he goes off, but they have an awkward encounter later in the street, and Bobby says, last night was incredible. And then Lauren's phone's ringing and she's like, leave me alone, I don't want to talk to you, I didn't want your stupid flowers. Then they're passed across again later in Speed Dial. They do a lot of walking up and down the road.
Yeah.
And he says,
like they're magnetically drawn to each other.
Right.
See, the universe wants to happen. They're shipping Bobby and Lauren. There's nothing they can do about it.
Right, so he's like, oh, I thought you'd be out on your hot date with the mystery bouquet sender. And she says, you've got nothing to be jealous about. So they have a bit more of a chat, and he tells her she's special, and she says, no, I've done some really bad things. I'm not a good person. I wasn't a good person. And Bobby doesn't care. He's like, I don't care. You're hot.
Yeah.
That's basically, he says, oh, it's now that counts. That's not, you don't even know anything about her. You just know she looks pretty. All we can do is try now. I like you. And then she gives him a kiss on the lips, and then the mystery caller comes to her door. We think something dramatic is going to happen. The
final scene of... Was it final scene? Well, final scene for her, at least, on Wednesday's episode. It was her pottering around in her kitchen, wasn't it? And then and she's making something on the stove, and then she opens the door to somebody. And I was so hopeful that we would get to find out.
Yeah, I know.
Considering that I've been kind of bad-mouthing this story and saying this mystery I'm not in the least bit interested in. Why have they dragged it out for so long?
You do care.
When it came to it, that one scene on Wednesday's episode, I was like, oh, I want to know who it is. But maybe I just wanted to know so that it wasn't being held over us anymore.
Well, that's okay.
But I was convinced then that we would find out on Friday, but it was like Friday's episode started and that scene might as well not have happened.
No, because the next time we see her, she's getting the post with a gas bill that's over 100 quid. And then she gets a phone call again from this guy. I assume it's a guy. Very heteronormative of me, isn't it? She says, I told you last night I don't need your present, I don't need your money, I don't need anything from you. Is it going to be a twist that it's just her dad's come out of prison? No,
it is not, Reese.
Why?
Look, let's get to the end. We'll talk our theories later.
All right. Lauren comes into the cafe later and Bobby says, can you go out together? I'll come over to yours. No, she says, come over to mine because I'll be tired. And she says, Roy can have more shifts, but there aren't any. So then we see her doing herself up all pretty with her makeup with a video with her phone set up on a stand in front of her.
Quite liked her hair today.
It looked very cool. Yeah, I know.
Lots of little hair bands up there. A little bit Harley Quinn-esque.
That is very difficult to do so evenly. I don't know how she's managed it. She must have had lots of practice. This is why she gets the big bucks on Ovid's, obviously. So Max and Sabrina just let themselves into her house, and she's like, "Can you go away, please?" And they're like, "Oh, where's your ex around again?" And she says, "Look, I've started an Ovid's account. I've been doing it since I was 17. Ryan found out, kicked me off, but then I'm back again because I'm 18 now. I'm not ashamed of it. It's easy money." And then knock at the door, and Bobby turns up.
Yeah, he was supposed to be there for tea, but he's come a bit early because he's dead keen.
He's bought noodles. Cajun noodles, what the hell are they? What kind of vowel concoction is that? Lauren says, go away, Max and Sabrina. And they're like, "We're worried about you." Later on, they've watched the Barbie film, and because this is such a great twist, she didn't get it and Bobby liked it. That means he's a good guy. He's not threatened by the clear feminist message of Barbie. They have a snog, which... same with who and Joel and... What's her face? Dee Dee. Why Friday? Well, why was all the kissing on Friday? Ugh. Set you up for a bad weekend, that does. So then the perv, right? They're kissing each other. This is the first time. How long have they known each other? Not that long.
A few weeks.
Right? This is the first time they've had a proper kiss.
He's
he
a bit
starts
of a
trying
player.
To take her top off. And she's like, "Oh no." And
what a player.
She's got this massive, horrible looking bruise all over her shoulder. Like it goes all the way down her.
She's been properly grabbed hold of and
or like thrown
shaken
around
about,
or something, or beaten or something. That
was a surprise. I'd not seen anything in spoilers about that happening.
So she does the dramatic soap thing of standing with her back to him, pretending, trying to lie about what's happened. "Oh, I fell down the stairs."
Just need to pose, looking at the camera for the soap mag shot.
Yeah. And Bobby doesn't believe her, and he heads home, and then he catches up with Max and Sabrina, and he says, "Why were you saying you were worried about her earlier?" And they're both cagey to each other about this, because they each know something that the others doesn't know, but they're trying to protect Lauren and not tell her secrets to each other, but eventually it all comes out, because he's asking them about the bruises, they're saying about Ovid's, then they're talking about the ex, is he even real, or is it Daniel? And then Max wonders if she's gone from Ovid's online videos to actual sex work, and people are beating her up there, and then they're wondering if Daniel's doing it because he likes throwing people down the stairs.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Daniel is going to be the spotlight of suspicion is going to land on him.
What a red herring that is.
It kind of works in that Max has always, for the last couple of years, had a bit of a grudge against Daniel, and now he's in because it's happening to his friend. So, but yeah, I think that
I would really appreciate it if Max and Daniel's rivalry turned into like a whole entire life thing. As long as those two are on the show, they're always...
they're the new Ken and Mike.
The new Ken and Mike. I think that would work really well.
I don't see much as Max as a Mike Baldwin.
Well, that's because he's only little. You've got to give him a chance, and it can't be exactly the same, can it?
No.
I honestly think that Max could be a very good thorn in Daniel's side. It's about time somebody took him down a peg or two.
Okay, right. So this mystery man of Lauren's then. I don't know when it's going to be revealed. Is it going to be next week? Is it going to be next month? But for the first time in however long it's been, 4 months, I've actually kind of started thinking, I kind of want to know who it is now. So if you get anyone that you're erring more towards that, thinking it's possibly them. Possibly,
but big mistake if so. Random man that we don't know.
It can't be.
You say that.
You say that. If they're setting it up as a mystery, it feels like one of those soap mysteries that it's got to be somebody that we know. Otherwise, they'd have shown him by now.
Well,
I cannot believe that it's going to be nobody.
Better not be.
No.
Which means...
Go on.
Lots of people wonder Joel. I've wondered Joel myself.
Joel really seems to be prime suspect online at the moment.
He's already had this mystery woman. So who's this mystery woman? This Emily?
Yeah.
I think
he's been quiet.
I think it's clearly his ex-wife who's turned up. to get him to agree to something that he doesn't want to agree with, or separate, or get back together, or some, there's some kind of divorce drama, separation drama there.
Why are people... I don't know whether it's anything that I would have suspected myself that it was Joel. It seems like the biggest evidence that people have got online is he's not done anything else of interest recently.
He's
so clearly that's what... He's
almost aggressively bland. Like, they're trying to make you not think he's up to no good.
We had the couple of appearances from Joel today's episode where he's not been on the scene so much for Dee Dee, and she was starting to worry that he's gone off her. And it would, I guess, make sense if he's been tied up with... whatever with whatever he's doing with Lauren.
Maybe he's split up with Emily because he has been frequenting Ovid's operators.
It wouldn't surprise me. I think that he's probably still my number one suspect.
I think it's not Joel.
I've got not very much evidence other than the whole he's not done much else.
I think it's not Joel, and I think that once we find out what the story is with Emily, we'll be like, oh, that is reasonable. He is being wronged by Emily. She's just a crazy woman. You know what I mean? Like, once it all comes out, I think Dee Dee be like, oh, okay, Joel, I understand. I'm sorry, I have doubted you, and he'll be like, great. It's so boring. I personally think it's Nathan.
Do you? This is another one that I've seen people suggesting online, and I don't know where they're getting it from.
Because he's a nasty man. He's a groomer. He likes girls who can do their hair on videos.
Nathan the groomer. Oh, yes, he didn't he? Yeah.
He was the guy that owned the sunbeds shops.
Yeah.
And he was... because Bethany's back on the scene, so that kind of makes sense.
There's lots of pieces that are kind of lining up that it would make sense if it was him.
Because we know he's physically violent to women.
Yeah.
And none of these other suspects have kind of like... It would have to be a real about turn in their characters. Like Joel, that would come out of nowhere.
Joel's still a blank slate. If they were to put this on Joel, we'd say, okay, that's what he's like.
Yeah,
but if it turns out that it's Nathan, we go, oh yes,
of course
we should have seen it. Well, people have seen it. I don't know how long he was put away for, because he was jailed in 2018, I think.
Well, yeah, I can't remember. All he did was groom a bunch of women and abuse them and rape. That's fine. You can do that to women.
I don't know what his sentence
Crimes
was
against
at
women,
all,
whatever. Just rap them on the knuckles and tell them not to do it again.
It could be... You're right. The fact that Bethany is on the scene would tie it all neatly together. The fact that Lauren works with Shona in the cafe as well, and because Shona was involved with Nathan at the beginning, wasn't she? That's how we first got to know her, because she was escaping from him. I mean, it's possible that Joel and Nathan are, in the ring together, maybe.
Doing what?
Getting the girls.
Beating up women. You don't need to make a team, a boy band, to do that.
No, but it still could be both of them.
Men don't normally team up to do that.
Well, they did, because before, Nathan had...
Yeah, but that's a grooming gang. That's different, though.
Yeah, no, but maybe they were a grooming gang together. Because what was the other guy?
The evil
Neil?
policeman. Yeah. It's Neil.
Yeah, Neil. So I wonder whether Joel is like the Neil of this.
Oh yeah, the respectable face that gets them out of everything. The crooked front man.
Yeah, exactly.
Who greases palms.
Well, this is the thing. The fact that he's a solicitor
makes him evil.
Do you remember when we found out that Neil was part of the gang? Or no, sorry, it wasn't that way around. It was, we found out that he was a policeman, didn't we?
Yeah.
We knew that he was part of the gang, and then when it was like, oh my gosh, he's a police officer. So I guess that it could be the other way around here, if it turns out that somewhat supposed on the level solicitor Joel is actually a massive perv.
Well, I mean, it comes up later that we talk about with Dee Dee and Joel, when Dee Dee's like, no sex before marriage, please. And he's like, that's okay, I think you're really cool. That's a really cool choice that you're making. But he's probably thinking, that's cool, I don't mind, I've got a grooming gang, I don't need
sex with you.
I can have sex with anyone.
The other suspects that have been put online don't seem as right to me. Like, some people I've seen are saying, is it Aaron?
No, it's not in his wheelhouse.
No,
that's
it's
not his
not.
Playbook. It was a completely different sort of...
Yeah, I don't think that the lesson... As much as Aaron... he still didn't admit what he'd done to Amy when he left. I don't think that he then went away and was like, well, I'm gonna brew on this. In fact, I think I will stay down the villainous route and I'm going to make myself even worse and pervier.
If it was Aaron, I think it would undermine the message that Corrie was trying to send, which was consent. The story about consent, and that, it could be anybody that does this. And if it turns out he's actually just an evil serial rapist groomer who beats women up, it'll be like, well, of course, it was only a matter of time. Whereas you're supposed to think with Aaron's story, like, oh, under what circumstances does a monster get created?
I mean, there's also the fact that having still been following James Craven on Instagram in the past year, he just seems to have been going around the world and having photos taken of him in swanky locations. So good for him. Some people have said, could it be Rob? Because this is the other thing, like we didn't mention before with the Bobby story. Is there a chance that Rob is going to be back in the show?
Everyone wants Rob back.
Everyone really, really wants to have Rob back. I can't necessarily see it happening, and I don't see him as being the sort of person that would get involved with young girls like this. He only accidentally killed Tina. He was a bit of a ducker and a diver, and he stole Carla's fabric once, and he was getting the knockoff stock for the bargain shop. But
Michael, I heard that actually it wasn't Rob that killed Tina. It was a terminally ill man with cancer.
Oh yes,
and he's been killing people on Coronation Street.
Oh, John.
For years. And he's also the pusher.
He's the fall guy for everyone, yeah.
He's the Manchester pusher.
So I don't think it's him. I've seen somebody say, like, is it Tommy Orpington? And is he going to be brought in and made into a... Clearly not. I think that what we're seeing...
He's definitely got a good chin for being an evil, murdering rapist.
I think that what we're seeing of Tommy so far is that he's a genuinely nice guy. Yeah. So
he
really,
just likes a pint and football.
I don't know who else it could be, which means that Nathan and Joel seem to be the most obvious suspects.
Well,
Nathan is a massive stretch because we've had absolutely no clues that he's coming back into the show. There's not been any, as far as I've seen, and I do try to avoid it, but I think I probably would have seen, because I've been interested in reading threads about people's theories, and I probably would have seen somebody said, oh, it's all right. So I can't remember what the actor's name who played him now, but he's been seen around the set. So if it is him, they've been doing a very, very good job of keeping it quiet. So maybe it's more likely to be Joel. It's going to come out of nowhere. But then it's...
Yeah. If it's someone on the cast already, then it's not like very surprising.
It's got to be. I refuse to believe that this mystery has been set up for who is the mystery man. It's new character.
But also, so is she Griff's daughter? She's Griff's daughter.
Who? Laura? No, she's
Reese's daughter. Yeah. Griff's not going to get out, that's for sure.
Not Griff. Can't be Griff.
What about one of the what's it called?
Racist gang.
Well, one of the racists, because she did insinuate that she was passed around, and also her mum's boyfriend too. We don't know who that is. We haven't met him, but he's been established as a as a possibility.
Watching it feels like one of these mysteries that it's going to be a surprise. Otherwise, they would have told us by now. And there aren't very many people that it could be. So, if it was Nathan, would you be interested in that story rearing its head again, or would it feel? I'm kind of going back and forth because it was a really great story, but I don't know whether it would be a bit like Ian McLeod trying to say, well, people love that in Kate Oates's tenure, let's have a piece of that, rather than coming up with something new and original. He's just stealing someone else's idea.
It's not stealing ideas, it's part of Corrie's history. It would make sense, and it gives Bethany something else to do, gives Daniel something to pine about. Daisy's all angsty. I
don't know whether it would sour the legacy of that story. I don't know whether it's got much of a legacy. I mean, everybody was singing its praises.
Well, we loved it when it was on, but it's not seemed to have caught.
It doesn't feel like it's gone down in the ages of one of Corrie's great stories. But
this is the problem with the 6 episodes a week and everything's push, big. You can't. Like, oh wow, a grooming story. So what, we've had a kid tried to kill himself this week. A child.
Yeah.
So, whatever. What's next?
Yeah.
In fact, Nathan Small Fry these days on Coronation Street. He's not even Canadian.
So are you shipping Bobby and Lauren yet?
No.
I know that, but he has been better, hasn't he? He's been it's still a little bit pervy, but I think that they've done the thing that Corrie liked to do, which is try and make it look a bit sweet. Like they did it with Nina and Seb, they did it with Ardy and R. Kelly, and I'm feeling a similar kind of vibe, because there's nothing like super saucy about it. They're having, a innocent snuggle under the duvet.
He tried to take her top off.
I know, but it feels
like very forward.
They're trying to give them a bit of a relationship, and
Didi would slap him.
She needs somebody who's, I think,
look after her.
Yeah,
he's not dangerous.
Yeah, he is completely undangerous, and I think that in many ways he could be right for her. I because I'm not massive fans of either characters, it's difficult for me to get really invested in it. But I have surprised myself this week by how much I've been willing to champion them a slight amount.
What I guess
That's about as far as I can go.
Really like about it is that she doesn't seem to have the same sense of humour as he like. She laughs at his jokes, but she can't do banter with him.
No,
if
you're
they
right.
bantered, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I can see this going somewhere. But just him...
she's still just kind of miserable.
Yeah,
and he's there to cheer her up.
I don't know why she's miserable. Of course. Cheer up, love. It might never happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't endear me to her though.
No.
Or the other way around. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Let's move on. The Paul story. Now, this was unsurprisingly the highlight for me, especially the Valentine's Day episode with the barbershop quartet, which is lovely.
What do you mean?
So is this you or is this me? I've lost track of who was in the synopsis in for the last.
Hang on a minute. Is
this back to me again?
Oh, I don't know.
Hang on a minute. Let's have a quick scroll to the top of our massive notes document.
Right, so I did...
Yes, this is me.
Okay.
This is me. I'm talking about Billy and Paul and what's
Go on,
going on
you
with
get
them
to do
this
Billy.
week.
It's not fair, is it?
Well, we might be getting rid of Summer, Gemma.
This is taking a long time.
She's got a brown envelope. It's from Boston Common University, and I wouldn't want to go to a university if it was common.
No, I want to go to Boston Posh University.
But anyway, yeah, so she's been headhunted because they've heard over in Boston that she's a real smart cookie, and they want her to go and study whatever it is that she's learning over there.
I know her accent's not very thick, but some Americans do struggle with northern accents. I cannot imagine how many times a Bostonian and a northerner would have to say what they're trying to say to each other. Because they both have very thick accents I don't think are widely understood by people outside of those areas, are they? Obviously northern accents is you can understand, but I've definitely read on forums, Americans and Canadians and other people going, I don't know what they're saying, I have to put on subtitles, which honestly, I couldn't believe it when I read that. I thought they were joking. But some people can't understand the accent. I don't think Boston's famous for being quite easy to understand.
Boston.
Park your car in the yard.
Anyway, so
I'm really good at it. If she wants any help, I'll be able to help her integrate with the natives.
She can build herself a robot that translates for her. She's excellent at that. I'm worried about Summer's robot. We have got a wide shot of the flat, and it's teetering over the edge of that shelf. I'm worried that it's about to jump. Honestly, Billy, meanwhile, has decided he wants to do something nice for Valentine's Day, and he enlists Summer's help to put a few ideas
Why are
together.
Billy and Summer obsessed with doing something nice for Paul that involves a secret that they don't tell him about, that's kind of dangerously outside of his ability to be able to do it? It worked out all right in the end for this, but this isn't the first time they've tried to do this with him.
Yeah, but I mean, we get more of that on the Tuesday episode.
I'm just going to say
why he's being so nice to him all the time.
If I'm dying of some horrible thing, I don't want surprises.
Okay. Might finish you off.
Unless it's, surprise, it's not terminal.
So Billy points out to Summer later that she's been a little bit down, a little bit more miserable than usual recently. And this is when she tells him that she's been offered a semester at Boston Common University. Ooh, very, very tough decision, she says, because, like, clearly I want to go there. Oh, what a great opportunity that would be. But on the other hand, kind of want to stay here for Paul.
He's got 6 months to live, and that was 6 months ago.
Yeah, like, time's running out. And Billy's like, well, I don't think I could. Just saying, Summer.
I know, he's like, I'm not telling you what to do, but I could never live with myself.
I could definitely not move away.
I've got so many questions about this. Why did they, out of the blue, offer her this?
I don't know.
Surely she applied for it because she's not that great to get headhunted. She screwed up her exam. She like fainted. She fainted in her exams and wrote and tried to cheat.
Yeah,
Nobody's poaching her.
I know.
What is going on here? Was it like? Is this like a University of Thieves and Liars or something? They're trying to get her to teach. She's gonna be a professor there for a semester, a guest professor. Right. Yeah. Also, what? How long's the semester? Like 3 months.
Yeah.
Go later. Why are they asking her? Why are they asking her now? They're not good. It's not going to start till October, is it? It
sounds a little bit unusually out of the blue, but hey, maybe we're just bitter because we were never headhunted by an American university.
It's probably they're just trying to get their money in, like Boston. Like you have to pay in America, don't you?
Mm.
When she gets there, like, oh, I've come for my cause. They'll be like, yes, that's $100,000, please.
Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of it for that episode.
And here's my question. Sorry, what is she studying?
I really can't remember. It's bad, isn't it? I don't know what she's learning. I don't know what she's reading. Paul finds out that he's got a special Valentine's Day surprise coming his way at the end of the episode. So, Tuesday, so this is Valentine's Day. These two definitely had the sweetest story for Valentine's week. But Billy's kind of still got his bad back and he's popping painkillers. But he wants this to be the hashtag best day ever for Paul, so he's not going to let his back kind of get him down. You said, is Billy going to end up taking Paul's medication to try?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not for bad backs, is it?
No, but I wondered if he might take it because he thought it might work and he might overdose and die.
Unlikely.
But that's just my musings.
This bad back thing has got to be there
bit,
for a reason.
I know, but I've got a bad back and I'm really...
You're not just doing it for the drama.
No,
sometimes
but I'm appreciating it. I'm like, yeah, that's right, Billy, my back still does hurt. Yeah, you don't just forget about it.
So, Billy's first surprise for Paul is that he's got him a motorbike with a sidecar and they go on a little jolly trip down Trafford Wharf Road. Billy up there clinging to the back of it going, all me back, all the way there. Paul's having a lovely time. They stop off at the precinct, which...
Somehow.
So, yeah, I'm not sure about the route that they took,
No.
but they had a very long drive to get to the precinct, which we're led to believe is just round the corner. And then they kind of... What happens? Billy gets off and then they get back on again and drive off. It felt like a bit of a redundant scene, really. But anyway, they've all got to Rosamond Street all in one piece. I thought that was quite nice.
It was nice he got to do it in the end after he wanted to and they tried to set it up.
The other month. But basically Billy is very, very worse for wear by the time they arrive. What else is there?
Billy gets annoyed.
Does he?
Snaps.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's in pain and his boyfriend's dying.
Yeah.
Husband, sorry. I've seen a lot of people saying that Billy's been in Mardy Cowan snappy bitch face. But I think he's completely it's completely understandable.
Yeah.
Everything that he's feeling. It's not just Paul's going through it and he's trying not to show it to Paul, but other people. Billy's got no patience or time to mask his emotions for other people. He's really trying to keep it together for Summer and Paul.
Yeah. I enjoyed the little callback that we got to Dennis Stringer in that scene as well, because he had George mooning over the motorbike, wasn't he? And he was like, oh, I wanted to get a motorbike. I don't really see him as a motorbike person, but never mind. He's like, oh, my eyelash wouldn't like it. It really winds me up every time we call Eileen's eyelash.
Yeah, I find it annoying as well.
But he's like, oh, you would never let me ride Eileen would never let me ride a motorbike because she had a fella who was a biker and he ended up becoming a cropper.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's how it ends up most of the time.
So we get a little bit more about Summer and her letter. Billy saying, look, you need to be careful. I don't know whether this is the best idea. She says, well, you also need to be careful because you've got a bad back. If you need help, ask for it. Come on, Billy, come on.
And Billy's like, you know that if you go to America, you've got to change all your money to dollars. Yeah. It's not worth it.
So,
don't go.
Bistro time later. And this is where we meet this guy.
We're supposed to hate this guy, but we didn't, did we?
He was great. This mad lad, wasn't he?
He was a proper mad lad.
Somebody who knew Paul from school, just having a time. What, they're on a
for some reason they're on a stag do during Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Going to the bistro, and he was there with his Hawaiian top, and he was just saying, Paul, you got MS, have you? Sorry, MND, sorry, have you? God, sucks to be you. He was jovial. He was jovial about it. And I think mean-spirited. Temporarily, Paul forgot that he's also been taking it in rather good humour. That's the whole point of the story.
The thing is, he was saying mean things in a non-mean-spirited way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if you were in the kind of mood to take offence by what this guy was saying, you probably very, very easily could. And Billy was certainly in that mood because he had a bad back.
I want to give this guy props, this sort of obviously lad of the town, blokey bloke, for knowing what MND was. Because if someone said to me before this story, I've got MND, I'd be like, oh, okay.
Sly Google and
then,
phone.
I've got to go to the toilet.
We know now, we're informed.
And Google it.
I thought this guy was great. He was just like proper charming, and I kind of want him back again.
He had that mank humour, didn't he?
I don't think there's any chance whatsoever that we're going to be able to see Paul's
Stars
mate
of
again.
Tomorrow Today. This guy was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, he was cool. But then he gets punched in the face by Billy. By
the Archdeacon.
Yeah, no less.
Well, he does make fun of... He was a bit mean at that point. Yeah.
Well, Billy's got this barbershop quartet turn up, and they're crooning away, and the guy comes over and starts kind of pulling Paul out of his chair and making him do little dances with his arms and everything. He's just ladding up the situation.
That's not appropriate.
It's not, but...
It's just bants.
I don't think he'd have known.
I don't think he really knows what MND is. Maybe I gave him too much credit.
I think he was...
I mean, what are you supposed to do?
He'd had a bit to drink.
Somebody says you've got MND and you don't know what it is. What do you do then?
I don't know.
Do you say, what is it? And then bum everyone out?
But anyway, Paul's a bit uncomfortable by how this mad lad is treating him. And so Billy goes and pushes him out of the way and punches him in the face. Because it's been only a few weeks since the last one.
You've ruined everything.
You've ruined the barbershop quartet. How could you? I'm going to have to call the police now. It's maybe a bit of an overreaction. I don't know.
Paul's not impressed. They have to go home.
Yeah, and he's... this is when we had Dee Dee just happened to turn up, and then the police just happened to turn up afterwards and saying, sorry, Mr. Mayor, you're going to have to come down the police station. I'm a lawyer, says Dee Dee. I just happen to be here. Oh, don't worry, I'll represent you. But basically, he gets away with it if he apologises. So you punch someone in the face, you just got to say sorry, and then the police will be happy with this. We've got too many other things we're dealing with at the moment. We got...
There's a piece missing in the Cluedo set.
Now, what was it?
I don't know who did it, but we're going to get to the bottom of it by the end of the day.
We got Simon Barlow that's been driving drunk. We got some guy that supposedly murdered Natasha Blakeman a couple of years ago. We ain't got time for this.
No.
We've
got some woman phoning us up about the kid being bullied at school.
Yeah. Sorry. Just say sorry.
No, but this is what I think the police should do more of. What? I don't know how much they do this.
Restorative justice.
Well, just say, look, can you just say sorry? Would that be you all right with that?
Just shake hands.
Just stop. Just leave each other alone. Like in school, right? Just leave each other alone because you're winding each other up. You say sorry. That's it. You're friends now. Right, everyone go home.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that than people being put in prison or fined or go to court. It's all sorted out. Billy's not a serial criminal, is he?
No, but equally, this guy
and a drug addict.
It was described as being like an ableist hate crime. What this man was doing, and I think that's taking a little bit far.
Well,
I don't know.
Understand how they define it, but it was.
He wasn't doing it. To me, didn't feel like he was doing it mean-spiritedly.
The thing about hate crimes,
I think he was just ignorant.
Is that you have to be inside the person's head a lot of the time, unless they're literally saying, "I'm doing this to you because I hate you because you're in a wheelchair." which most people,
I did not get
that's
that
not how they mostly happen, is it? A lot of it is the target of the person. If you reasonably assume that they were only targeted because of a protected characteristic, but you have to be inside someone's head to know that, which I think is a bit dangerous. Do you not think that's a bit weird and sinister? Like the you know, the motivation is, at the end of the day, the same thing happened. So the fact that misogyny, like violence towards women and misogyny, would never be a hate crime because it's so ubiquitous, makes me think that, well, if that can't happen, I don't understand.
Would you be okay with it if men just said sorry to women?
Sorry, all right, okay. Well, do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's clearly loads of that is motivated by hatred towards women. So what's the difference then? Well, I don't know what the difference is.
Right, so back at the flat, we get a couple of heavy scenes with Paul and Billy. Basically, Billy just saying, God, my back really hurts.
Yeah, I'm struggling.
I'm really struggling. I can't deal with this anymore. Summer's turned down the chance to study in America, by the way, Paul. And Paul's like, why haven't you told me about this? Start treating me like I'm your husband. Come on, I'm still here. I'm still breathing. Unburden yourself on me if you're going through such a tough time at the moment. This is what I am here for. I'm not. Me. Yeah, yes, you're doing a great job looking after me, but I'm supposed to be looking after you as much as I can.
Let him do it for what I can.
So he starts to realise as this conversation goes on that Billy's been organising all these lovely events for him recently because he's basically trying to put him off taking those death pills. He says, "Oh, you've been killing yourself to keep me alive," and I don't need you to pity me.
Billy's concerned that Paul's enjoyment of life is the only thing keeping him alive. So he's trying to make sure that he always enjoys himself, which is such a neurotically scary and anxiety-fueled way to live. Like, as soon as my husband stops having a nice time, he's going to kill himself. I have to make sure that doesn't happen. And I can see how he's got himself into that situation, but what a tragic thought to have.
Yeah. He just starts blubbing away, doesn't he, Billy? And he's like, I'm just doing the best I can. Don't hate me. And he's utterly inconsolable by the end of the episode. But it felt like the story just kind of faltered a little bit after there. We got a bit of it on Wednesday, but the amount that Billy was falling to bits at the end of Tuesday, he's kind of picked himself up quite neatly by Wednesday. And he's like, sorry for ruining the day. I've got an idea of how to make it up to you, though. Paul says he's booked him a last-minute physio appointment. Hooray. So he's going to get his back sorted out. We just see a bit of loose ends tying up. Summer gets told she really should bog off to Boston. Paul's like, I don't really want you to go. And Summer says, no, I want to spend as much time with you as I can do. Just think about it, Summer,
is she going or not? We don't know, do we?
I don't think by the end of it. No, I don't think that we find out what happens. But we do know that Paul and Billy end up the week having another bonk on the sofa.
That's why they want to get rid of Summer.
Yeah. Think about all the. Then you have to do it all over the flat.
Why can't Summer just wait? I wouldn't be able to enjoy myself if I was in America.
No.
Knowing that my stepdad was going to die at any moment.
If they want her that much, surely they can wait.
Surely they'll understand if you write and say, listen, I know this isn't the X Factor, but I do have a sob story for you if you would like to take the time to read it. Of course they would defer her.
Yeah.
And if she really wants to go to America, that's not the only opportunity. She could do like a summer camp. I was obsessed with that when I was at school. I really, really wanted to go to be a summer camp counsellor.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I had all these brochures. I really wanted to do it.
Yeah. What happened there then?
Didn't have any money.
But I still wonder whether she is going to go because she's not really had a huge part in this story, has she? There's been quite a lot of Billy and Paul and scenes where we think, why isn't Summer? What's Summer doing? What's her thoughts about this? How is she involved in it? And it's been nothing. I wonder whether this is a whole, you're right, we really don't know what to do with Summer here. Let's get her out of the picture so that we can just focus on Billy and Paul and not have to worry about how to write her into it.
I think the focus, if it was just on Billy and Paul, it would not lose anything. Like, having Summer there doesn't add anything to it. if they want the actress to have a reason why she's not there, maybe she's got something to do. I don't know what she's up to. She could have something.
I don't know.
But I would not be surprised if she didn't go and miss Paul's death, because I think it works better if it's just those two.
Yeah, I mean, we've also got Bernie.
Yeah, that's true. We don't need Summer.
And also you got, the periphery, you got Dee Dee, you got David and a few others.
There's more.
I don't think that the story is made any better by Summer being there. So maybe the showrunners have realised this as well and they're going to ship her off. I don't know. And it obviously adds a little bit more tragic drama decision making.
Oh, sad. Maybe she'll come back with a Boston accent. Sound like what's his name, that Marky Mark, who beat up.
Don't know who you're talking about.
The notorious racist and film star
Lauren.
Mark Wahlberg. What I was going to say? Oh yeah, you deleted the nickname that they came up with, Loza and.
Oh, I just deleted it because I put it in the wrong place. Loza and Bozza.
Yeah, I said that they should be called Bodger and Badger. Because Lauren's the Bodger because she can't do anything right, and
he's the Badger because he's badgering her.
He's a sex pest.
Yeah. Right. Bethany's story.
And if you don't know what Bodger and Badger is, children, look it up.
Shame on you. Right, let's go. Bethany's story, what's she been up to this week? We're still playing through this at a quite decent rate, considering we've had an extra episode.
Yeah. As the day is dawning, early in the morning, Bethany has got to tell Daisy about the article. And Daniel calls
her chit-chat article.
Bethany his girlfriend. And they call it the G-bomb.
That's what we call you, isn't it?
That's what... Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah. Bethany sees Daisy in the street and says, invites her for a coffee, and they sit down, and Daisy's like, what the hell am I doing here? What do you want? Very wary. And Bethany says, we don't need to be enemies, I don't want there to be an atmosphere. And then she starts being weird and saying, I don't want to upset things with Bertie. Like, sorry, excuse me, woman, you don't know Bertie. What are you talking about? The last time Bertie knew who you were shagging his dead mum's husband. Why are you in his life? That's so creepy and weird.
Yeah.
Don't bring the child into this. It's not your. It's neither of your child. Shut up. That was a weird thing to say. That was really manipulative. And then Daisy's like, okay, well, if you want a truth, fine. And then for the second time in like a week, Bethany leaves her phone on the table and somebody reads it. What is it with this woman? She's supposed to be an undercover journalist, cracking cases and stuff. She can't even keep her own phone private. So she sees the message from Daniel saying, well done for being the bigger person. And Daisy realises that this is just about Bethany trying to suck up to Daniel and make herself look like a good person. And then then they have another argument. And then Daisy storms out. Bethany catches her in the street and says, I'm sorry. Bernie sees them. And then she tries to be the peacemaker, and so they agree to try again. I thought that was a bit weird. If I was Benny, I'd just enjoy the drama. So they go to the bistro for cocktails, and then Daisy says, I don't blame you for taking shots at me for what I did to Daniel. It was pretty rubbish. And Bethany's like, oh, tell me more. Tell me about Ryan. Is there any chance of a reunion? And Daisy's like, I don't know if he's coming back. I thought he'd left for Edinburgh, and he's not in the show anymore, but maybe he's just around the corner. We went through so much together, but it seems tainted, and I want to move on, and I don't want people to talk about my love life. And Bethany's like, oh, that's awkward.
Yeah, because about to have a magazine published all about it.
I must stop this immediately. So she goes home and she tells Daniel, we can't publish this article. And then she gets the email from the magazine, and they're like, right, we've punched this up a bit. It was a bit bland, so we've made it a bit more sexy and salacious. Can you just have a look at it, please? And she's like, no, you have to pull it. I won't let you print it. And they're like, but we've sent you the money now.
So I think, the lay viewer would be like, yeah, that seems like on the level to me. Of course, that's what happened. But as somebody with their finger on the pulse of the publishing industry,
of course you don't get paid before it's published. That doesn't make any sense. The money hasn't been generated from the article. Also, the person who's paying you is not the person who's on the phone to you telling you about the article. Like, I don't sit there every Friday and write people checks for the magazine. There's an accounting department that does that. I don't know when people get paid.
I didn't particularly buy the idea that that Bethany would have been sent the edited version as well.
No, I don't.
Like, she thinks that she's this great journalist, but she's literally doing something that this magazine seems to be
just
based
rubbish.
on reader submissions.
Yeah. What, they
send in your article about the salacious thing that's happened in your life, and we'll bung you 50 quid.
This basically smacks to me of someone's grandma saying, "Oh yeah, my granddaughter Bethany, she's a writer. She was in chats. She got £50." You say, "Can you show it to me?" And then it's like the reader's letter going, "I'm complaining about the bin collection in your local council, and you got paid £50 for being the star letter of the week." That's the equivalent here of what she's doing.
Yeah, but yet she seems to be so poor, and this one article is going to set her straight. Like, she's been working on this one since she has returned to the street. 5 weeks ago? She's not had a single article published, has she? She's been working on this one thing that seems like it's going to dig her out of a hole.
And she just thought of it the other day.
Yeah. Like, come on, you need to start churning them out, lass.
She didn't even write it properly.
No. Shocking.
I've got so many things to say about this story, but am I still reading this?
Yeah.
It's just nonsense.
I wasn't particularly inspired by this.
Again, but this is, I know that there's a limit to what they can really do here with this story, with Bethany's character, but it feels very much, again, like we're being told that Bethany's a great writer, and what do we see of it?
Yeah, nothing.
No, just her telling us and everyone else saying that she's a great writer. On Tuesday, Bethany reveals to Daniel that the article's not being edited back to how she wrote it, because she wrote it like a boring idiot. And Daniel's really mad about it. And then they calm down later and have a chat. And she says...
she decides she's not going to tell Ryan and Daisy.
Right,
she's kind of hoping that they're not going to...
hope they don't notice.
To notice that's not going to happen, is it?
Well, of course not, because this is Coronation Street. But in real life, unless they're reading all these crappy magazines... I suppose everyone likes chit-chat on this show, though, don't they? Bethany comes into the pub later, and Daisy says that, "I'm glad we cleared the air yesterday. Feels like a weight's been lifted." And Bethany's like, "Yeah, me too." Bethany's a coward. I mean, it's the whole point of this is just to make cause Bethany more problems and make her a coward and cause tension and stuff. So
and seemingly it's like making Daniel look bad as well.
Yeah, nobody cares about how this magazine industry works. It doesn't help anybody to be realistic about it. So I guess. I mean, I don't know what's more stupid: the fact that she was worrying about 50 words, or the fact that they paid her the instant they received the Word document before they'd even actually finalised the piece. They haven't laid it up or anything or put it into design. They've just rewritten it. Why are they paying her? If I have to rewrite it that much, I'm not paying you.
Yeah. Okay.
Next.
They're still just waiting for something to get me really interested in this story, but as it stands, the characters in it just aren't particularly gripping me. It feels like it's the dregs of the big story last year, you know.
And I still just can't see Bethany as a reasonable partner for Daniel.
No. Right, Tommy Orpington then. Not a whole lot. We find out that Tracy has got a very cheesy Roses are Red whatever Valentine's card from Steve, but at least he got her something, because Tracy didn't even get Steve anything for Valentine's Day, because clearly her head is on Tommy Orpington. We get to see the beginnings of the New Look florists this week, don't we?
I'm liking it.
I mean, it's early days, but he's been painting it pink, so I don't know whether it's going to be that much different than it was before. But yeah, he's just like attracting the attentions of Mary. They're still talking about Toya. Toya's moved on. She's got weddings to organise this week. She doesn't care about Tommy Orpington for whatever reason. But Tracy is just made to feel a little bit jealous by all this chat about, is Toya still interested in me?
Threatened.
And yeah, basically.
And she also gets threatened when Tommy Orpington pays attention to Mary.
Yeah,
On Friday.
On today's episode, there wasn't much story going on here, really, was there? I'm kind of looking through the notes that I made, and it all just seems to be summed up with Tracy still pining for Tommy Orpington. He's got no
Seeming
desire to get back with her, but he enjoys winding her up.
She tries to seduce him into the office, and he won't go.
Yeah, but he is seduced by Steve, who wants to take him to the pub because that's a tastier alternative for lunch than Mary's green sandwich that she's bought him.
Has anyone ever eaten kale in a sandwich?
Well, not Steve McDonald, not Tracy Orpington. Tracy Orpington.
Tracy
not
Orpington,
yet.
I thought you
not
said.
Yet. And nothing happens in this story, does it? It's all just kind of. I'm still really, really enjoying Tommy Orpington. I think he's like really charming, and Steve I'm still finding quite insufferable. Mary's okay in this story, but it's just waiting for somebody to find out about it, isn't it? At the moment,
I want Mary to start getting really obsessed with Wethy County.
I mean, maybe the twist in the end of this story is that Tommy and Mary end up together.
I want her to replace her Ben Shepherd blanket with a Tommy Orpington one.
Do you think that Amy's going to find out? Because she's getting close. She's walking in on them, well, nearly doing it a few times. Maybe next week. I don't know. I don't know anything about where this story's going, but maybe we don't. But anyway,
what will happen?
Who knows? Nothing really happened there, but they managed to get quite a few scenes out of it.
Joel.
We've already talked about the Joel story.
What
really.
is his conspiracy theory of the month?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, he's just
there's conspiracy theories about him because he's been disappearing off recently, and who knows where he's been? Has it been with Lauren? Has
it been with his mystery woman? Has he been at work?
Who
Unlikely. The lawyer's office is back again. Like I said,
it's dried out. They've put the dehumidifiers on, and it's all okay to move back into now for whatever
Alia
reason.
gets Dee Dee a candle, and she's like, "Thanks." She doesn't really like it, you can tell. And they're just kissing, and we bring up that she doesn't want to have sex before marriage, and she makes him sleep on the couch.
Yeah,
and he says he doesn't mind.
Yeah, he does. But then when she kind of walks away, he does a sort of sigh, doesn't he?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, she's basically saying to him, this relationship is as serious as it's going to get unless you marry me.
Yeah. Which
is a big thing, and it's quite an unusual thing for many people to be told in this day and age.
Yeah, but I quite like that they go in there with Dee Dee. They're keeping her true to this newfound religion that she's...
They did have this weird... It felt like there was some canon reason why they did this that we don't understand. I don't know what they're talking about, but he said he explains it, but he's explaining it to us. He's not really telling her because she knows already. Like, I know you told me that you have found God in later life, and you have and so you have decided from now on, even though in the past you may have had sex with somebody, from now on you're not going to do it anymore. It's like, I don't need to know all of this about what her vagina's up to. Why are you telling me? Is there some kind of backstory to Dee Dee that makes would invalidate the fact that she said no sex before marriage? That
I think they just want to keep the doors open for if any ex-boyfriends.
Or here's your baby from Chicago that you forgot. Like, why do we need to have that really awkward explanation of the fact that she'd already slept with people before?
Who knows?
I didn't get it. I thought that was silly.
Right, so 4 episodes of Curry this week. Nothing absolutely amazing in there, but like I said, nothing was dreadful either. The Liam story didn't hook me as much as I thought it would, but it certainly took up the vast majority of this Street Talk this week.
Yeah,
because that was like an hour or so, and then we blasted through the other stories in just over an hour. Is Liam character of the week though? I think we're supposed to say that he is
because the acting was really great.
I'd kind of just like to give it to the mad lad in the bistro because no one else is going to give it to him.
Why don't you?
But then I feel bad if I don't.
I'd like him to come back.
If we, okay, I'm gonna say.
Well, normally it's me that gives a C.
It's either mad lad or it's the barbershop quartet, but I couldn't pick an individual there, so
no.
So Paul's kind of bully / friend, the mad lad, is my character of the week.
Excellent.
And you're giving it to Liam.
I'm giving it 3 sexy Shakespeares.
Yeah. I can't remember what that was a reference to, but
when he said it, I was like, we both said, write that down.
I am going to give this one 3 tickety-boo brain scans out of 5. Hoping for better next week, but it could have been worse.